Chapter 642, The First Guest Elder Offering. 10 years ago, Wuxia was at the 9th level energy refinement stage. Now she has broken through to foundation establishment, becoming a core disciple of the Qingyun sect. 10 years ago, Lu Changxing was merely a son-in-law to the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. Now he has broken through to foundation establishment, becoming a mountain master himself. In 10 years' time, Hong Yi advanced from the heir to the Marquis of Rui to the Marquis himself, controlling Rui Prefecture. Han Lin ascended from a lower-grade artifact refiner to an upper-grade one. Because of her vague body, Zhao Qingqing transitioned from being a pharmacist to a spirit plant master. Now she has become a second-rank spiritual plant master. My friends, if my memory serves me right, it has been exactly 23 years since we first met. Lu Changxing said, looking at the 5 people before him. Among the 5, he, Wuxia, and Zhao Qingqing all maintained their youthful appearance, with only changes in their demeanor. But for Hong Yi and Han Lin, both their appearances and auras had gone through significant changes. Especially Hong Yi, wearing a purple gold crown and brocade robe, sporting a long beard, his features bearing a mature and dignified air. Indeed, exactly 23 years. Hong Yi stroked his beard and nodded in agreement. His voice was filled with sentiment. Thinking back to their initial meeting, he was proud and conceited because of his noble birth, looking down on others. But now, among the 5 of them, he was the least accomplished. His position as the Marquis of Rui was maintained thanks to his relationship with Lu Changxing. Otherwise, it would have been extremely difficult for him to become the heir and succeed the Marquis of Rui's position back then. It's been 23 years before we knew it. It's a pity that Li Daoist isn't here. Over these 20 years, the most splendid tales are still those of Lu Daoist and Hong Daoist. The 5 of them looked at each other and laughed, feeling nostalgic for the swift passage of time, engaging in idle chatter and reminiscing about old times. Brother Hong, I plan to let Xuanjin stay at home and study calmly for the next few years. If you're willing, you can let Xuanji stay at Bai Lake Mountain temporarily. Upon hearing Hong Yi mention his son Hong Xuanji, Lu Changxing spoke up. Hong Xuanji was Hong Yi's most cherished son, upon whom he placed great hopes. He prepared to send him to the Qingyun sect in 2 years' time, when they would be recruiting disciples, to participate in the immortal sect's assessment. Now that Hong Yi was discussing his son's arrangements, Lu Changxing was also willing to help take care of him. After all, Hong Yi had helped him a lot over the past 20 years, and it was only right for him to return the favor. In that case, I'll trouble you with Xuanji, brother Lu. Hong Yi, upon hearing this, immediately showed delight and thanked him with a bow. If his son could cultivate at Bai Lake Mountain, it would surely be better than doing so in the Rui Prefecture or a small marketplace. Furthermore, he knew that Lu Changxing was recruiting spiritual farmers and fishermen with spiritual roots, teaching them the skills of spiritual plant cultivation, talisman making and puppetry. Thus, he was more than happy to let his son stay here and develop a good relationship with Lu Changxing's children. If his son did not pass the Qingyun sect assessment in 2 years, he could still mingle with the Lu family. That way, this son's future achievements were likely to surpass his own. Haha, brother Hong, you are too polite. Lu Changxing laughed and nodded. Daoist Lu, didn't you say you would show us your family's spiritual medicine garden? Since we have time now, why don't we take a look? And it would be nice to stroll around by Lake Mountain while we're at it. At that moment, Zhao Qingqing voiced her suggestion. Previously, while chatting at the Qingyun sect, Lu Changxing had expressed hope for her to take a look at his family's spiritual medicine valley and provide some planting advice. She brought over many spirit plant seeds as gifts to celebrate the occasion on this visit. But specific recommendations and planting would require a look at the situation for a final verdict. In that case, Fairy Shiyu, brother Hong, Daoist Han, shall we all take a stroll together? Lu Changxing suggested cheerily upon hearing her proposal. Haha, sure. I'd like to admire the beauty of Bai Lake Mountain too. The group nodded in agreement. Immediately thereafter, Lu Changxing took them on a tour around Bai Lake Mountain, explaining the features before arriving at Lingzue Cliff. Mountain Master. Greetings to the Mountain Master. Dad, Uncle Hong, Uncle Han and Xiao. Lingzue Cliff was inhabited by some spiritual farmers from other families left by the Yu family. Lu Pinggan was also assigned by Lu Changxing to guard the spiritual medicine garden at Lingzue Cliff. We have come to take a look. Lu Changxing nodded and spoke. The spiritual medicine garden still looked the same as before. It had only some common spirit plants and unripe spiritual medicines. Daoist Zhao, this is the Lingzue Cliff of Bai Lake Mountain. This area is primarily used for spirit fields, and this part as the medicine garden. Lu Changxing led the group through Lingzue Cliff, casually conversing and explaining. As a second-ranked talisman master, Taoist Lu, you will likely focus on developing in this area in the future. Based on the spirit vein and soil conditions of Bai Lake Mountain, I suggest planting some water cloud bamboo. As for the second-ranked medicine fields, you could consider transforming dragon ginseng, pale face flower, stone dragon root. These spiritual medicines are quite suitable for cultivation, and once they reach a certain age, they can be sold for a considerable value. Zhao Qingqing observed the spirit fields, soil and spiritual energy conditions, speaking out loud. In her words, she also moved aside, applying techniques to test the soil composition and the concentration of spiritual energy in the fields. Ordinary spiritual farmers only need to learn one of the techniques such as minor cloud rain technique, Gingjin technique, decomposition technique, quickening technique, spring wind turns to rain technique, and so on. But to become a spiritual plant master, one must be proficient in multiple techniques. And to advance from a spiritual plant master to a spiritual plant master, one not only needs to master a variety of techniques but also understand and control the conditions of various spirit plants and spiritual medicines. Water cloud bamboo, Lu Changxing noted, nodding. He was aware that this was a type of spiritual bamboo, suitable for making talisman paper. As for transforming dragon ginseng, pale face flower, and stone dragon root, they were all materials for the foundation establishment elixir and youth-preserving elixir, each very valuable. Chapter 643, The First Guest Elder Offering. A few people were strolling around Lingzue Cliff, and Zhao Qingqing gave many suggestions. She also told Lu Changxing about the cultivation methods of several spirit plants and what to pay attention to. I didn't expect the path of spirit plant cultivation to have so many intricacies. It is truly an eye-opener. Hong Yi, who was standing by, exclaimed with emotion. In his Rui Marquis mansion, there were also dozens of acres of spiritual fields. But these were the most ordinary spiritual fields, only suitable for cultivating first-grade inferior products, not even the average spirit rice. Now that he heard about the intricate knowledge involved, he was filled with emotion. Indeed, each of the 100 arts of cultivation is broad and profound, Lu Changxing nodded and said. Through the system, he clearly understood the profoundness of each of the 100 arts of cultivation. After they finished their stroll, Lu Changxing turned to Zhao Qingqing and said, Taoist Zhao, would you be interested in serving as a guest elder at my Bai Lake Mountain? A guest elder? Zhao Qingqing paused upon hearing this, her face showing contemplation. The Qingyun sect did not forbid its disciples from earning extra money outside. After all, money, companions, laws, and the earth itself, cultivation is all about burning money. The Qingyun sect could not support all the disciples. Disciples like them had to find their own ways to earn resources for cultivation. However, they could not casually agree to serve as guest priests without considering whether it will bring them trouble. Taoist Zhao, as you know, the establishment of my family was quite rushed, and we are not particularly good at the art of spirit plant cultivation. Therefore, if you are willing, you could come to Bai Lake Mountain to serve as a guest elder. Whenever you have time, just come and check on the spirit plants, the condition of the spiritual medicine, or perhaps offer some guidance and teach some knowledge about spirit plant cultivation, said Lu Changxing in this manner. Bai Lake Mountain currently had many spirit plant cultivators, but they were all first grade. If they could invite Zhao Qingqing, a second-rank spiritual plant master, it would be of great help to the cultivation of spirit plants at Bai Lake Mountain. Moreover, when he planted the luminous treasure tree in the future, having Zhao Qingqing, a spiritual plant master, would also be a great help. This is possible, but I don't have much time. I can only serve as a guest priest and visit a few times a year, Zhao Qingqing said. As a disciple of the Qingyun sect's medicinal garden, she also had many affairs of her own and could not often go out. That is already sufficient, Lu Changxing nodded and said with a smile. He then invited Zhao Qingqing to serve as an honorary guest elder at Bai Lake Mountain for a yearly salary of 1,200 spirit stones. She would need to visit 4 times a year to provide advice and solutions for Bai Lake Mountain spirit plants and spiritual medicine and to teach and guide the Lu family disciples in the area of spirit plant cultivation. Afterwards, Lu Changxing turned to Han Lin, asking him if he was interested in serving as a guest elder at his Bai Lake Mountain. Speaking of spirit plant cultivators, his family had some, but they had no artifact refiners at all. He'll pass. I'm already busy in the Qingyun sect, and besides, artifact refining is very time-consuming, and teaching it is also quite time-consuming, Han Lin said, shaking his head. As an artifact refiner, unlike Zhao Qingqing, he couldn't just come down the mountain for a few days. Artifact refining requires on-the-spot teaching, which is very cumbersome and time-consuming. Moreover, as an artifact refiner, his income from Qingyun sect was quite good. Alright, if I have such problems in the future or need magic artifacts, I might trouble Daoist Han even more. Lu Changxing didn't mind and said with a laugh. Of course, that's no problem, Han Lin replied. Later, Lu Changxing invited them to stay a few more days at Bai Lake Mountain, and when they left, he gave them small parting gifts. Xiao Xia also returned to Qingyun sect with Zhao Qingqing and Han Lin. She was preparing to return and request her master, Yun Wanshang, to come and preside over Bai Lake Mountain. At the same time, using the Qingyun token, she would invite a second-rank array master from Qingyun sect for Lu Changxing. Husband, this is the current expenditure and rough income of the family, please take a look. That day, Lu Miaoyun came to Lu Changxing with a ledger in hand for his review. It recorded all the current expenses of Bai Lake Mountain and the rough estimate of its income. The difference between income and expenses is this much? Lu Changxing looked at the ledger in surprise. But after looking through it, he immediately understood why there was such a significant disparity. Previously on Qingzhou Mountain, the allowance for his wives and concubines was quite modest. Only concubines with a spiritual root were given 10 spirit stones. As for maids, they were only given 2 spirit stones. Now, not only had all the maids been elevated to the status of concubine, but their treatment had been uniformly improved as well. Furthermore, as the number of children in the family increased and they began cultivation, each would receive 10 spirit stones and a bottle of yellow dragon elixir every month. As cultivation levels improved, these benefits were also being enhanced. There were also the expenses of providing spirit rice to his secular children, among others. Each of these seemed minor by themselves, but when accumulated, they added up to no small sum. And the entire family's income currently depended solely on the foundational earnings of Bai Lake Mountain. Bai Lake Mountain originally had a considerable income. Otherwise, the Yu family wouldn't have been able to raise so many foundation establishment cultivators and clanspeople. But currently, due to staffing issues, the external industries had halted operations. During the establishment ceremony of the family, Lu Changxing had also sold off many assets. So now the income of Bai Lake Mountain was limited to rent, and the industries of spirit rice and spirit fish. Yuner, you don't have to worry about the finances for now. You continue to recruit spiritual farmers, fishermen, and apprentices. Pay close attention to the spiritual fields, jade marrow rice and azure water rice. The core cultivation methods for these were originally controlled by the Yu family. Now these spiritual farmers might be inexperienced and affect the harvest. The same goes for the breeding of spirit fish. Lu Changxing voiced these instructions. He presently had enough spirit stones to sustain the Lu family's losses for several decades. But running at a loss was not a sustainable strategy, relying solely on oneself to support the family. After all, he also needed to spend money. Thus, it was imperative for the family to operate efficiently, achieving a balance between income and expenses, and gradually move towards profitability. In Lu Changxing's view, the problem still lay with manpower. As long as there was sufficient manpower, he could easily proceed with large-scale production of basic puppets and liquor factories. Then, by finding partners for consignment sales and opening up channels, he could revitalize the shops and industries under Bai Lake Mountain. All right, husband. Lu Miaoyun nodded in response to his words. By the way, Yuner. Lu Changxing continued, speaking about the instruction at the school. He tasked her with organizing and arranging these matters. He indicated that not only the children in the family but also the concubines with spiritual roots could come to learn about this aspect. After arranging these matters, Lu Changxing went to Changxing Hall to quietly refine the 9 treasured jade rui within his chest bone. His recent encounter with Kaiyun True Immortal at Qingyun sect had given him a wake-up call. He felt that relying solely on the jade pendant given by the Core Formation Junior was not necessarily enough to conceal others' prying eyes. Therefore, he thought of quickly integrating this heaven-sent spiritual treasure into his life-bound treasured bone. As soon as the life-bound treasured bone was formed and he acquired the 9 great divine abilities, he would be able to use the 7th divine ability, Sealing Divine Light, to seal his cultivation level and aura, rendering himself undetectable and obscuring his true capabilities from others. Chapter 644. Yun Wanshang, don't let your senior sister know about Han Li _1 Qingyun sect. Kaiyun Peak. Master. Xiao Xia came to the palace hall at the peak and bowed respectfully. Shiyu, is there something that brings you back this time? The doors of the hall thunderously opened, and a clear yet gentle voice rang out. "Master, I've returned because I need to trouble you with a matter." Xiao Xie entered the hall and explained the situation at Bai Lake Mountain. However, she didn't mention that it was entirely due to Lu Changxing, and also indicated that this trip would be beneficial to her cultivation. Oversee Bai Lake Mountain? Yun Wansheng's eyebrows furrowed slightly upon hearing this. She had previously heard from Wei Xing about this, guessing that Lu Changxing wanted to invite Xiao Xie to oversee Bai Lake Mountain. Her first thought was to refuse. Her own disciple being a core member of Qingyun sect and overseeing someone else's family, what kind of precedence would that set? Moreover, Xiao Xie's practice of the supreme forgetful love technique ultimately required her to embark on a path of detachment. If she remained entangled with Lu Changxing, her future path would likely be difficult, and enlightenment hard to achieve. But thinking of the relationship Xiao Xie and Lu Changxing had, which had already advanced beyond a certain point, it wasn't something that could be severed so easily. Furthermore, the current second level of Xiao Xie's supreme forgetful love technique, clouds have emotions, moon has emotions, required the two to shine in response to each other for success. I can promise you this matter. However, according to the sect rules, if you go to oversee Bai Lake Mountain, you can only stay for a maximum of 3 years. Yun Wanshang spoke, stating her conditions. Thank you, Master. Xiao Xie showed immediate joy in her eyes upon hearing these words, and bowed with her hands clasped together. Shiyu, seeing you this happy just because I've agreed to this matter, how can I be at ease with you? Yun Wanshang spoke somewhat helplessly upon seeing the joy in Xiao Xie's eyes. Though the deeper Xiao Xie's emotions became now, the better for her cultivation, the deeper she fell, the harder it would become to break away and sever those emotional ties in the future. Master! Xiao Xie was taken aback by these words and she bit her lower lip lightly. She also realized that whenever it involved Lu Changxing, her supreme forgetful love technique almost became ineffective. Moreover, this trip to Bai Lake Mountain would not only allow her to be with Lu Changxing, but also to accompany her daughter, stirring her emotions. Never mind, as long as you are aware of it yourself, it is not my place to say much. Yun Wanshang let out a sigh and said no more. She knew this kind of matter had to be resolved by Xiao Xie herself. Then she took out 2 third-rank talismans from her storage ring to give to Xiao Xie for protection. After all, Patriarch Xiahou Wuwa of the Xiahou family was still alive. If this Xiahou patriarch targeted Bai Lake Mountain for revenge, there might be considerable danger. Naturally, she wanted to give her disciple some life-saving treasures. Thank you, Master. Xiao Xie bowed with her hands clasped together. Your trip to Bai Lake Mountain is considered an outside mission, so don't reveal your whereabouts to others. Also, after the new record chief arrives at the Green River Marketplace, then proceed to Bai Lake Mountain. Yun Wanshang continued. Yes, Master. Xiao Xie nodded in agreement. She then took out a token from her storage bag. Master, I have a good friend named Han Li who helped me on the way to Jiuxiao Immortal City. True Immortal Qiyun granted him a Qingyun token. I would like to use this Qingyun token to request a second-rank array master from the sect to help set up a great formation at Bai Lake Mountain. Xiao Xie took out the Qingyun token that was in Lu Changxing's possession and spoke up. This loose cultivator Han Li is Lu Changxing, isn't he? Yun Wanshang looked at the token and spoke directly. She had previously guessed that the loose cultivator Han Li who saved her senior disciple was Lu Changxing. Now, seeing this Qingyun token, she was almost certain. I knew I couldn't hide it from Master. Xiao Xie's face showed a somewhat mischievous smile. She immediately realized that her master had seen through Lu Changxing's disguise and guessed many things correctly. This made her hesitate, uncertain if her master was aware that she had given birth to Lu Wangshu. Still playing these little tricks in front of your master. Yun Wanshang's face showed a faint smile. Thinking of her senior disciple Chu Qingyi, she looked at Xiao Xie and continued, your senior sister is still recovering, conditioning herself to prepare for core formation. Thus, don't let Qingyi know about this loose cultivator Han Li's matter. Yun Wanshang said so. Don't let my senior sister know? Xiao Xie was surprised, not understanding the meaning behind these words. She couldn't help but speculate if her senior sister had developed some connection with Lu Changxing. Although she did not have much interaction with her senior sister, she knew that she was dedicated to the sword, with a clarity in her sword heart. Wait, the sword? In that moment, Xiao Xie's heart vaguely realized something. She bowed to Yun Wanshang and said, Master, I understand. Take my token to Master Imo, and ask him to go to Bai Lake Mountain to set up the formation. Yun Wanshang took out a token and spoke to Xiao Xie. Yes, Master. Xiao Xie nodded in response. She knew Master Mo was a second-tier top-level array master. His prowess in formations was exquisite, having set up great formations for many marketplaces of Qingyun sect. By Lake Mountain. Inside the retreat of Changxing Hall, phew! Lu Changxing opened his eyes and exhaled gently. He placed his palm in front of his chest and closed his eyes to feel. To completely refine the 9 treasured jade rui into my life-bound treasured bone, I'd need at least another 2 to 3 years. Lu Changxing pondered this progress, lightly sighing, knowing that such matters could not be rushed. He didn't seal himself completely in retreat but left the hall to check on the state of his worldly children. All these children would stay on by Lake Mountain for a while. Chapter 645. Yun Wanshang, don't let your senior sister know about Han Li. Lu Changxing visited his children, and according to their talents he offered them some simple guidance for the future. Now the Lu family could also be completely divided into the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family and Rui Prefecture Lu family. Regarding the secular side, now that Lu Pingan is at Bai Lake Mountain, Lu Wuyu is the eldest son in the secular world. He directly appointed his son Lu Wuyu as the family head. As for the management of Lu Wei's household, having served as a county magistrate for many years, his handling of people and matters was quite good in every aspect. If there really was something to say, it would be that his personality was somewhat indecisive and lacked boldness. But just being the family head of the secular Lu family, he doesn't need to possess any great boldness. Wuyu, from now on you will be in charge of the Rui Prefecture side. If you have any matters you can ask your Uncle Hong for advice or you can write to Bai Lake Mountain, Lu Changxing said to Lu Wuyu. This son had a quiet personality when he was young. When others were playing and making noise, he preferred to read books alone. Initially Lu Changxing wondered if this son would become a bookworm. Yes, father. Lu Wuyu, hearing this, nodded with a somewhat solemn face. He knew that after this separation, his father would probably seldom come to Rui Prefecture. This is your father's arrangement of some family rules and regulations, you can take a look at it. Lu Changxing took out a jade scroll and continued to say. This was the system of rewards and punishments for the Lu family that he had previously discussed with Lu Miaoyun and Ling Zixiao. All right, father. Lu Wuyu received the jade scroll and respectfully responded. You agree without even looking, just yes, yes, yes. If you have any opinions after reading, come directly to your father. Lu Changxing, seeing his son's manner, smacked him on the head and spoke irritation. He knew that given the limited time they spent together and his own status as a foundation establishment cultivator, many of his children viewed him with great awe and revered him. Therefore whatever he said his children would simply listen. I will look now, father. Lu Wuyu scratched his head and smiled as he recalled the time he spent with his father in his youth, and then he began to read the contents of the jade scroll. Father, I believe that there will definitely be arrogant individuals among the Lu family disciples, and there are already some signs of this. In my opinion, we must establish a family head to supervise and restrain the Lu family disciples. Also regarding financial matters, I think we shouldn't rely entirely on Blue Lake Mountain. Considering our family's relationship with Uncle Hong and your reputation, father, we can totally engage in commerce and be self-sufficient. After reading, Lu Wuyu expressed his opinions and suggestions. During his years in the secular world, thanks to his relationship with Hong Yi, he had served as a county magistrate. He knew that if things continued as they were, there would inevitably be many arrogant and wasteful youngsters. Moreover, if the secular Lu family relied too heavily on the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, the situation would be even worse. Additionally, with many younger brothers and sisters in the family now, it was certain that issues such as family partitioning and branching off would arise in the future. Since that is the case, the family can establish a family head to monitor the family etiquette, rules and regulations, and the enforcement powers will be held in your hands as the family head. You can also form an enforcement team to implement laws, impose punishments, and as for finances, commerce, fiscal matters, you take care of it. If there is a family partition, the family head will also have unified control. Lu Changxing, after pondering for a moment, spoke out. The situation of children partitioning the family was certainly inevitable. Not to mention the Lu residence in Rui Prefecture had already been expanded once. As these children gradually start their own families, the Rui Prefecture Lu residence simply would not have enough space, and family partitioning would inevitably occur. Lu Changxing had no intention of forcing all these children to live together. He was willing to let them form multiple branches. However, regarding spirit rice, you all still need to practice martial arts daily, and that is indispensable. So as long as you can earn enough for daily expenses, things like spirit rice, martial arts training, and rewards for childbirth will all still be taken care of by Blue Lake Mountain, Lu Changxing said aloud. He would naturally not reduce the costs of his children's martial arts training and childbirth expenses. After all, with spirit rice and spiritual meals, his children could make rapid progress in the martial Tao. Moreover, eating more spirit rice, even if the parents were both ordinary people, would increase the likelihood of their offspring having a spiritual root compared to normal circumstances. Lu Wuyu nodded and continued to add some points. After the father and son finished discussing matters, Lu Changxing looked at Lu Wuyu and the other children, and for a moment he didn't know what else to say. Having many children and spending less time with them eventually led to a lack of common topics. Moreover, as the children grew up, the relaxed atmosphere of their youth was missing. Half a month later, in the Changxing Hall inside the talisman room, Lu Changxing was busy drawing talismans. Just then, a system prompt sounded in Lu Changxing's mind. Used individually, the method was simple and crude: directly use them to hit people. The oceanic bead contained the power of heavy water, not only incredibly heavy but also capable of discharging brilliance that could stun people's divine sense and senses. Thus, ordinary cultivators facing an incoming oceanic bead, if careless, could perish both body and cultivation path. But what truly delighted Lu Changxing was not the power or effects of the magical treasure. Through the system's introduction, he knew that the original materials for the oceanic bead came from the Jaren race. Such a treasure bead had the effect of nurturing water veins and was beneficial for aquatic beings. Even if the oceanic bead isn't used as a magical treasure, just its ability to nurture water veins and aquatic beings makes it a good treasure for me. Lu Changxing's face was filled with delight. The main income of Bai Lake Mountain at present came from aquaculture, the fish and shrimp in Bai Shui Lake. And beneath Bai Shui Lake, there was a top-tier first-grade spirit vein. This oceanic bead, able to nurture water veins and aquatic beings, suggested that it could nourish the spirit vein of Bai Shui Lake and the spirit fish and shrimp within the lake, such as the red-blooded carp and the bai-blooded carp. Perhaps it could even promote this top-tier first-grade spirit vein to a second-grade spiritual vein. Besides, once Zishao has recovered and in the future breaks through to core formation, this oceanic bead can also serve as her magical treasure. Sister Miaoga practices the water of virtue technique, and this oceanic bead seems quite suitable for her too. Forget it, let's talk about the ownership of magical treasures later. For now, I'll use the oceanic bead to nurture the water veins, Lu Changxing murmured to himself, planning to discuss the ownership of the magical treasure later. However, if I want to nurture the water veins, I can't just place it in Bai Shui Lake arbitrarily. If someone fishes it out, then it'll be at a great loss. Lu Changxing remembered the time when his son, Lu Qingshan, went to dig up his golden armor bean mother. He thought it was better to wait for Ling Zixiao to recover a bit before using the oceanic bead to set up a formation in Bai Shui Lake to nurture the water veins. Chapter 647. Repairing the Family Great Formation, Beast Taming Sioux Family. _1 Gene Kingdom 5 Poisons Cult. Heaven Spider Emissary. Regarding the situation in Jiang Country, I have been informed. It is indeed a fortunate thing that both you and your disciple have returned. As for the heart-eating goo, you may directly go to the Goo Shrine Cave to claim one. As for the Phoenix Goo, I was severely injured by Li Duanshuan before, and used the only remaining Phoenix Goo. A new Phoenix Goo will take 10 years to refine and complete. Inside the Five Saints Hall, a girl around 7 or 8 years old sits upright. She has a face like white jade, delicate and exquisite, wearing a silver crown on her head, dressed in a purple-red skirt, and her feet are bare. She speaks with a voice that carried an age and authority completely incongruent with her appearance. This girl's expression and words revealed a sense of vicissitude and majesty that did not match her looks. Sect Hierarch, on this trip I was ambushed, only the Phoenix Goo can solve it. Nangong Meili, dressed in a purple chiffon skirt, has a graceful and enchanting figure, but there's nothing seductive about her. Since that is the case, in 10 years after the Goo Shrine Cave's Phoenix Goo is refined, you come and find me. The girl looked at Nangong Meili with piercing eyes and then spoke in a crisp voice mixed with dignity. Thank you for your help, Sect Hierarch. Upon hearing that, Nangong Meili immediately bowed in thanks and then excused herself to leave. After leaving the Five Saints Hall, Nangong Meili transformed into a divine rainbow, arriving at the Goo Shrine Cave, declaring her intention to the presiding elder and applying for the heart-eating goo. Xiaochan, this is the heart-eating goo, keep it safe. Next, as your master, I need to enter closed-door cultivation and will not meet anyone. All matters of Tianzhu Peak will be managed by you. After returning to Tianzhu Peak, Nangong Mili took out the heart-eating goo and said to her disciple Meng Xiaochan, "Closed-door cultivation?" Meng Xiaochan was somewhat surprised upon hearing this. Although her master's injuries had not fully healed, there didn't seem to be a need for such closed-door cultivation. However, she didn't feel it was her place to ask too many questions about such matters. Indeed, on the way back, she had sensed that there had been some considerable changes in her master's temperament. As for the specifics, she couldn't quite tell. But in terms of behavior, there was more caution and prudence than before. Otherwise, given Nangong Mili's character, it would not be certain that they would choose to traverse the Myriad Beasts mountain range to return to the Jin Kingdom from the borders of Jiang country. But having chosen this more secure, laborious and time-consuming method, her master seemed very anxious and restless on the way. Now, having just returned and quickly arranged her affairs, she immediately went into closed-door cultivation, which was very strange. "Yes, master, you can cultivate in peace. I will handle the affairs of the peak properly," Meng Xiaochan replied deferentially, pursing her lips slightly. "MHM." Nangong Mili nodded her head and then transformed into a divine rainbow, moving to her own cultivation chamber, where she gently brushed her lower abdomen with a complicated look in her eyes. By Lake Mountain. Talismans are spells stored within spirit talismans using symbol patterns expressed through spiritual ink, carried by talisman paper. If each talisman is treated as a whole, then each symbol, each stroke within it is, for instance, this most basic cleansing talisman. This part of the symbol structure controls the direction of spiritual power, this part maintains the flow of spiritual power, this part is the spell structure. At Biyun Villa in the Talisman Hall, Lu Changxing is teaching his wives, concubines and children about talismans. Now that he can see the talents of his family, he naturally arranges training based on simple nurturing, interest and individual aptitude. As long as the first batch of skilled workers in the family are on the right track, he won't have to worry about the family's future. Just then Lu Changxing's mental spirit stirred, he took out a yin-yang sensing talisman, and knew that Xiao Xie had arrived. He immediately let his concubines and children study on their own, having Lu Miaoyun come to provide additional knowledge about spirit plants. Shiyu Daoist. Lu Changxing, arriving at the mountain gate, saw not only Xiao Xie, but also a robust-looking elder with sparkling eyes and two young men wearing Qingyun sect disciples' attire. He immediately guessed that this elder and the two young men were array masters from the Qingyun sect. "Lu Daoist, this is Mo Shorin from our Qingyun sect, Master Mo, a top-level array master. These two are disciples of Master Mo, coming over to set up a great formation for Bai Lake Mountain." Upon seeing Lu Changxing, Xiao Xie immediately informed him about the situation and identities of this Master Mo, second-tier top-level array master. Hearing this, Lu Changxing instantly understood that his status and identity were not simple. He immediately unlocked the mountain gate grand formation and politely bowed, saying, "I have seen Master Mo and two Daoist friends, please come in." "Lu Daoist is too kind. My mission here is commanded to rearrange the great formation for your Bai Lake Mountain. I wonder what sort of requirements Lu Daoist has for the formation?" Despite usually being an arrogant character, Master Mo appeared quite courteous. After all, his visit was not only requested by Lu Changxing utilizing a Qingyun command. Xiao Xie Yun Wanshang and Lu Changxing also evidently had a significant relationship. "About the formation, I only have a rough idea and don't understand much. However, my wife is an array master. I will let her come and discuss the details with you." Lu Changxing welcomed them to the villa's main hall, served tea and then spoke. "Having heard of the renown of my wife Master Mo, that's indeed perfect," Master Mo responded cheerily. He had heard that Bai Lake Mountain had a top-level formation master. Naturally, he was willing to exchange ideas with a professional. Otherwise, discussing with someone who does not understand formations can be quite headache-inducing. Especially when that person also has a complex relationship with the sect. "Master Mo, please wait a moment," Lu Changxing said politely. He then went to Changxing Hall and told Ling Zixiao, who was studying talisman formations, "Zixiao, the array master from the Qingyun sect has arrived." Chapter 648. Repairing the Family Great Formation, Beast Taming Sioux Family. "Oh, they've arrived so quickly, I'll go take a look." Ling Zixiao, upon hearing the words, put down the jade scroll in her hand and said with a smile, Zishao, in addition to setting up a formation on the peak of Baiyun Peak, I also plan to set up a formation beneath Baishui Lake. Lu Changxing stated his needs in advance. He also took out the oceanic bead, telling Ling Zhixiao that this bead had the effect of nourishing water channels and aquatic creatures. He planned to place this oceanic bead under the spirit vein of Baishui Lake. The oceanic bead, 36 in total, each comparable to a near magical treasure? Ling Zhixiao looked at the oceanic bead before her with a hint of surprise in her beautiful eyes. You must know that magical treasures are extremely precious, and few people can create them. Many nascent soul immortals don't even have multiple magical treasures. Lu Changxing casually took out a combination of extremely rare magical treasures to nourish the water channels. She couldn't help feeling astounded by Lu Changxing's mystery and suspected that he had inherited the full legacy of a nascent soul true lord. That's right, these treasures were made from the oceanic pearls left by the Jiaran of the sea, each comparable to a near magical treasure with the effect of nourishing water channels. If it's continuously nourished, the first-grade top-notch spirit vein under Baishui Lake might even have the chance to upgrade to a second-grade spirit vein. Lu Changxing chuckled lightly and spoke thus. My dear, the oceanic bead is of significant importance. Although the array master from Qingyun sect has been requested through the Qingyun order, he cannot be fully trusted. However, since there are 36 oceanic beads, one can be taken out to serve as the foundation of the formation at Baishui Lake. In this way I can later use this formation base as the key node of Baishui Lake, overlaying formations within formations. If the spirit vein formation of Baishui Lake upgrades to second rank, this will also enhance the overall grade formation. Ling Zhixiao looked at the oceanic bead before her, thought for a moment, and then expressed her thoughts. Good Zhixiao, hold on to these oceanic beads for now, and you can arrange as you see fit later on. Lu Changxing, upon hearing this, nodded and handed over the oceanic bead to Ling Zhixiao. Since the oceanic bead was somewhat heavy, he asked Ling Zhixiao to be careful with it. Ling Zhixiao felt warmth in her heart seeing Lu Changxing entrust her with such precious magical treasures so easily and with such concern that she should be careful, and she nodded with a smile in her eyes, replying, Okay. The two walked out of Changxing Hall and entered the main hall of Biyun Villa. Zhixiao, this is Mo Shorin from Qingyun sect, Master Mo. Master Mo, this is my partner Ling Zhixiao. Lu Changxing brought Ling Zhixiao to the hall and introduced them. Master Mo, pleasure to meet you. Ling Zhixiao, dressed in a blue gown with a pale and elegantly beautiful face, looked at Master Mo before her and said with a graceful smile. Hee, it's a pleasure to meet you, Taoist Ling. I wonder what requirements and thoughts you have regarding the family's great formation. Master Mo looked at Ling Zhixiao and spoke with a chuckle. He could tell from her complexion that Ling Zhixiao was not in good health. Knowing her condition, undertaking the enormous task of setting up a family great formation was indeed too much. Otherwise, there would be no need to expend a Qingyun order and call upon the goodwill of Qingyun sect to get him to take action personally. Regarding the Bai Lake Mountain Great Formation, there is no need to set it up from scratch. The workload would be just too great, requiring at least several years to complete. So, my thought is to build upon the existing Blue Water Azure Sky Great Formation, Ling Zhixiao said with a smile. The Yu family's Blue Water Azure Sky Great Formation, as a second-rank high-grade Great Formation, was already considered quite good. After all, it's not that the higher the rank of a family's Great Formation the better. One must also consider daily spiritual energy consumption, the consumption when the formation is operating at full power, the coverage and other factors. If that is the case, it would be most ideal. Taoist Ling, after I examine the spirit vein and the status of the great formation on Bai Lake Mountain, we'll finalize a plan. How does that sound? Master Mo's face lit up with a smile when he heard Ling Zhixiao's words. To set up a family great formation from scratch would not only consume materials but also take a great deal of time. If one could just adapt the existing setup, the workload would be greatly decreased, potentially to just 10 or 20% of the original. Naturally, he was not inclined to start afresh and spend a vast amount of time at Bai Lake Mountain. That is only natural. Ling Zhixiao spoke with a dignified elegance. Then, they proceeded to inspect the ley lines and the situation of the great formation on Bai Lake Mountain. During the process, Ling Zhixiao presented her thoughts on the setup and arrangements for the great formation and some minor adjustments to the layout of Bai Lake Mountain to Master Mo. Typically, when Master Mo set up a great formation, it was his decision alone after examining the spirit vein layout. This time, due to the relationship between Lu Changxing and Qingyun sect, he gave some consideration to their opinions. Yet deep down he was still somewhat arrogant, believing they should heed his suggestions. Now listening to Ling Zixio's arrangements, understanding and views on by Lake Mountain's Great Formation, he suddenly realized that Ling Zixiao was extraordinary in the formation path. He put away the disdain and arrogance in his heart and discussed the setup and arrangement of the Great Formation with her as an equal. So it was that after inspecting the Great Formation at by Lake Mountain, Master Mo settled down temporarily at Biyun Villa with his 2 disciples, ready to finalize the plan and then start the refurbishment and setup of the Great Formation. Changxing, the matter of overseeing by Lake Mountain has been agreed upon by the master. After the Great Formation business was taken care of, Xiao Xia finally found time to speak to Lu Changxing alone and informed him about overseeing by Lake Mountain. That's wonderful. Lu Changxing was immediately overjoyed to hear that Xiao Xia could come to oversee things, thinking to himself that Kaiyun True Immortal was quite a reasonable person after all. He was previously worried whether Kaiyun True Immortal would thwart their relationship. Chapter 649. Repairing the Family Great Formation Beast Taming Sioux Family. But I still have to make a trip to Green River Marketplace, Xiao Xia continued. She indicated that she might need 1 or 2 months to finish her business in Green River Marketplace before she could come over. All right, Xiu, when do you plan to go to Green River Marketplace? Lu Changxing inquired. I plan to head there today to deal with the matters there early and then come over. Xiao Xia said so. Although she wished to accompany her daughter, the thought of meeting her and then parting again made her prefer to get the tasks out of the way sooner rather than later. Xiu, after you arrive at Green River Marketplace, help me see if there's a second-rank pill furnace available, and take a look at these spiritual materials as well. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing took out a materials list and said to Xiao Xia, alchemy, wine brewing, puppet crafting. These 3 skills he planned to employ altogether, to craft several second-rank puppets for the home. Thus he had many materials to purchase. Since Xiao Xia was available, he let her take the opportunity to make the purchases for him in Green River Marketplace. This many? Xiao Xia looked at the list, surprised by the variety of spiritual medicines and spiritual materials needed. You don't need to spend time gathering them, if they're available buy them, if not then let it be. Lu Changxing smiled and said, taking out spirit stones from his storage bag to give to Xiao Xia. He also took out a stack of talismans for Xiao Xia so if she ran out of spirit stones she could sell the talismans for more. Changxing, do you still consider becoming a guest elder for the Qingyun sect? With your current skill in talisman making, you're already qualified to be a talisman path guest elder for the Qingyun sect. Becoming a guest elder for the Qingyun sect would bring many benefits and conveniences, both personally and for the family. Xiao Xia said these while looking at the talismans in her hand. Guest elder for the Qingyun sect. Lu Changxing paused lightly when he heard this, his face showing a moment of contemplation. He didn't mind taking on the role of a guest elder for the Qingyun sect. After all, it's good to lean on a strong tree for support. Having the title of Qingyun sect guest elder indeed came with many advantages and conveniences. Let's talk about this in a few years. There's a lot to take care of at by Lake Mountain right now. Once things settle down, I'll consider it. Lu Changxing said after a moment's deliberation. Being a guest elder for the Qingyun sect would unavoidably bring certain obligations. But as the family situation was not yet stable, he didn't want to trouble himself for some convenience. Sure. Xiao Xia nodded with a smile. She wasn't trying to get Lu Changxing to join the Qingyun sect or anything. She simply thought that it would be beneficial for both him and the family if Lu Changxing became a guest elder. Xiu, stay for a night before you go. Lu Changxing looked at Xiao Xia in front of him, took her delicate hand gently and holding her in his embrace, said warmly. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed. Renovations and modifications of the Great Formation at Bai Lake Mountain had begun. Apart from Mo Shorin and his 2 disciples, Lu Yuanding had also hired 3 more array masters to assist Lu Changxing. Lu Changxing entrusted the family Great Formation matters entirely to Ling Zixiao. Apart from making talismans, daily cultivation, and fusing his life-bound treasured bone, he taught his children and concubines. Or he would inspect the spiritual medicine valley, fish farms, and spiritual fields when he had nothing else to do. That day, Lu Changxing suddenly felt a surge of qi flow towards him. He knew another one of his children had completed qi refinement initiation. But after waiting for most of the day, he didn't receive the good news about which child it was. Could it be? Lu Changxing felt a stir in his mental spirit, and a system window appeared before him. Name, Lu Qingshan. Lifespan, November 99, talent, 6th grade spiritual root, Gingjin body constitution, middle grade spiritual body, cultivation level, Qi refinement level 1, talent, sword Dao compatibility 49%, Qingshan has completed Qi refinement initiation. Lu Changxing looked at his son Lu Qingshan's panel, feeling both surprised and delighted. Cultivators generally start their practice at the age of 12. However, due to different innate talents and foundations, there could be some fluctuations. Lu Qingshan was not yet 12 years old when he completed Qi refinement initiation, indicating his excellent talent and comprehension. After all, a nascent soul immortal would not accept him as a disciple if the cultivation techniques to be comprehended were simple. I wonder how Qingshan is doing in Jinyang sect. Now that he has completed Qi refinement initiation, his master must be giving him considerable attention. Thinking about his mischievous son, Lu Changxing felt a heaviness in his heart. He took a deep breath and let it out slowly. He didn't know when he would be able to visit his children at the Jinyang sect. You country Jinyang sect. Tianyuan Peak. Lu Qingshan, in a luxurious robe interwoven with gold and white, walked out of the palace with joy on his face. Seeing Lu Qingzhu inside the hall reading a book, he quickly stepped forward to lift his sister, saying happily, "Little Zhuer, I've already completed Qi refinement initiation. Brother, you're amazing." Lu Qingzhu immediately showed a smile upon hearing this. "Of course," Lu Qingshan said proudly, rubbing his sister's little head, "don't worry with my talent, just give me about 10 years to break through to foundation establishment and become a foundation establishment great cultivator, and then we can go home to visit mother. Hee, by then mother, grandfather, and father will be shocked when they find out I've become a foundation establishment great cultivator." Lu Qingshan grinned, imagining the day when he would return home as a foundation establishment great cultivator. Previously he thought that the Jinyang sect would be similar to the Qingyun sect. If he missed home he might still be able to visit. However, after arriving at the Jinyang sect, he learned that he and his sister had come to another country. The journey from here back home was very far, and they had to wait until he became a foundation establishment cultivator to make the trip. This caused Lu Qingzhu to feel sad for a long time. Chapter 650. Repairing the Family Great Formation, Beast Taming Sioux Family. _4 And so, bringing his sister home became one of his motivations to diligently cultivate. Brother, go for it. Lu Qingzhu clenched her little fists and nodded vigorously. Xiaozhu, what do you want to eat today? I'll go get food from the dining hall. Lu Qingshan put down his sister and called out. The entire Tianyuan Peak was very quiet, home to only the Tianyuan True Immortal. But the Tianyuan True Immortal was usually very erratic, either in closed-door cultivation or out on affairs, rarely showing himself. Therefore the siblings usually had to go to Jinyang sect's inner sect dining hall for meals. Brother, whatever you choose is fine. Lu Qingzhu said this with an obedient face. Alright, wait at home for me. Upon hearing this, Lu Qingshan nodded, then ran out of the great hall and yelled towards the distance, "Crane Fairy! Crane Fairy!" Soon after, a majestic and handsome crane, standing a full 10 feet tall with bright fiery red feathers, swooped down from the mountain behind, stirring up a strong gust of wind, and said to Lu Qingshan, "Boy, what do you need? It's time for a meal, take me to the dining hall." Lu Qingshan said to the crane in front of him with a playful smile. "You're such a bother, kid, needing to eat every day, making this fairy accompany you on a trip each time." The crane fairy complained but still slightly bent down to let Lu Qingshan climb onto its back. "Can't help it, I'm growing right now, but once I can fly with tools by myself, I won't need to trouble you anymore. But rest assured you won't miss out on your 8 treasure chicken, roasted goose and steamed bear paws." Lu Qingshan said as much. Enough, stop talking, get on, this fairy is about to take flight." The crane fairy, hearing Lu Qingshan's words, couldn't help but drool, which dribbled down to the ground, exuding bursts of fragrance. Lu Qingshan, well prepared for this, immediately picked up a wooden bucket next to him to collect the crane's drool. "You brat, tricking me for my fairy drool again, are you going or not?" The crane fairy, seeing Lu Qingshan's actions, grumbled unhappily. Going, your crane drool is precious and shouldn't be wasted, whether for watering spiritual medicines or for medicinal baths, it's beneficial. When I achieve a breakthrough soon and can fly with tools, you'll be spared the trouble." Lu Qingshan chuckled, then climbed onto the crane's back, grasping its feathers tightly with both hands, looking around at the scenery as they flew towards the main peak of Jinyang sect's inner sect. In the blink of an eye, more than half a month went by. That day, a child was born to one of Lu Changsheng's concubines, Zheng Yongwan. The child possessed a spiritual root, a 6th-grade spiritual root, which put Lu Changsheng in a very good mood. These days, with eugenics, the spiritual root talents of his children were gradually improving. During this time, Zheng Yongwan brought up the matters of Wugong Ridge Zheng family to Lu Changsheng. She indicated that her family was currently in contact with the beast-taming Su family, getting ready to become a subsidiary to the Su family. The beast-taming Su family? Lu Changsheng was somewhat surprised upon hearing this name. The beast-taming Su family was one of the 3 great cultivation families of Jiang country. A family with a core formation elder as its pillar. It could be said to be the #1 cultivation family in the Qingyun region. Having heard of the renown of the beast-taming Su family in the Qingyun market before, Lu Changxing knew they fostered a unit of water serpent Dao soldiers and fire raven Dao soldiers, with a profound family heritage. Now Zheng Yongwan was saying that the Zheng family was preparing to become a subsidiary to the Su family. It wasn't that he thought differently, but in Lu Changxing's view, a family like the Zheng family, even if offering to become a subsidiary, the Su family might not necessarily be interested. It's just one of the Su family's branches, the Yu Mountain Su family, with 2 foundation establishment great cultivators in their family, Zheng Yongwan stated. I see. Lu Changxing nodded upon hearing this, feeling that this made more sense. However, in his view, the old patriarch of the Zheng family was still making a hasty decision out of desperation. He estimated that, just like his own family had done before, by choosing to become a subsidiary or marrying off a daughter, they were only seeking to preserve the family's ancestral business. But if the Su family was willing to take you in as a subsidiary, they must have some motive, right? It's not likely they would protect you for nothing just for a small fraction of the profit. Sai, the old patriarch of the Zheng family, is truly desperate. He even gave up 1.5% of the Red Leaf Valley market's benefits, divided it between our 3 families, leaving only 0.5% for Wugong Ridge. Our 3 families have already promised to take care of Wugong Ridge for him, but now they are reaching out to the beast-taming Su family. Lu Changxing sighed softly. Initially, when the 4 families divided the Red Leaf Valley market, Qingzhou Mountain took 40%, 100 Birds Lake and the Yu family, and the Zheng family each took 20%. Latterly, because the Yu Yuanshan of the Red Leaf Valley market had always presided over it, Qingzhou Mountain ceded 10% to the Yu family. Previously, at the founding ceremony of the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, the patriarch of the Zheng family knew they couldn't hold on to this benefit, so they proactively offered up 1.5% to be divided between the 3 families. It was in hopes that the 3 families would lend the Zheng family a helping hand in the future. Faced with this, the 3 families all nodded in agreement, indicating that they would help within their capabilities. Now that the Zheng family had become a vassal to the beast-taming Su family, Lu Changxing couldn't help but worry if the Yu family would truly take the Zheng family as a vassal, would it affect his own side? The patriarch of the Zheng family knows that if a family power wants to annex the Zheng family, the 3 of us really can't help much. So he's trying to find as many allies as possible, at the very least the beast-taming Su family, who hail from the beast-taming Su family, won't be too brutal and value-saving face. Lu Changxing shook his head, not wanting to dwell on it, and decided to inform Ling Zixiao of this news, to see what she thought about it. At the same time he sent a message to Qingzhou Mountain 100 Birds Lake, to tell Lu Yuanzhong and Bai Yunyang about it. After all, Zheng Yongwan was telling him this maybe as an advance warning, to spare him the shock when he eventually found out. 10 days later Xiao Xia arrived at Blue Lake Mountain. She needed to keep her tracks and identity hidden on this trip. So Lu Changxing directly arranged for Xiao Xia to stay at Changxing Hall. Nowadays Lu Miaoge was often in charge at Qingzhou Mountain, leaving Changxing Hall very vacant, with only Lu Changxing and Ling Zixiao remaining. And often Lu Changxing didn't even spend the nights at Changxing Hall. Xiao Xia brought back a 2nd-grade superior alchemy furnace for Lu Changxing on this trip. Once the fire veins in the Baiyun Peak alchemy room were nurtured and they had the earth vein fire, he could start alchemy. As for the materials for wine brewing and puppetry, Xiao Xia also purchased quite a lot. But in both of these aspects, Lu Changxing was not in a hurry to use them. For wine brewing, a regular 1st-grade wine could be produced with a brewing workshop and a cellar. However, for 2nd-grade spiritual wine, not only are the materials scarce, the process is also complex. Different wines even require different cellars, which is quite troublesome, and cannot be built in a short period of time. As for puppets, they take too much time to make. The materials Xiao Xia has purchased so far are enough for him to make 3 2nd-grade puppets. But given his current situation, who knows how long it will take to craft these 3 second-grade puppets. The second-grade puppet he gave to Lu Miaohuan before was destroyed, and he hasn't even repaired it yet. So he's planning to take it slow. In a branch of the Myriad Beasts mountain range. In a basin valley, many dark coffins were buried, surrounded by the corpses of numerous demon beasts, with blood making the whole valley appear somewhat gloomy and terrifying. Wuxia is dead. What happened? At that moment, within a deep bronze coffin in the valley, a man dressed in black brocade robes, with a slightly stiff visage, sat up, his voice indifferent and commanding. Ancestor, Wuxia met with calamity at the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. In front of the coffin, a young man in his late 20s reported respectfully. I had previously warned them to be cautious, to focus on plundering without being too conspicuous. Xiahou Wuo's face darkened with anger as he listened to these words. He continued, now that Wuxia is dead, Qingyun sect will surely be investigating our family. Pass down my order. No one is to leave the Myriad Beasts mountain range. Convey my commands for Wushang and the rest to be more cautious and careful in your country. Yes, ancestor. The young man's expression showed traces of resentment upon hearing his ancestor's words. Xiahou Wuxia was the only other Foundation establishment late-stage ancestor in their Xiahou family aside from Xiahou Wuo. Now that they were wanted by Qingyun sect in Jiang country like rats in the gutter, they could only hide in the Myriad Beasts mountain range. Yet a mere Foundation establishment family like Blue Lake Mountain could kill their ancestor, and Xiahou Wuo showed no response, which was extremely frustrating for him. Xiahou Wuo, of course, noticed the discontent in his kin's eyes. But he knew that if he went to trouble Blue Lake Mountain now, it would be extremely dangerous. Even if he destroyed Blue Lake Mountain to avenge his brother, it was highly likely that he would perish as well. Now that Wuxia is dead, the family's expenses can only rely on hunting demon beasts, but most of these beasts are used for corpse cultivation, part of the necromancy grounds. This is hardly a sustainable plan, ancestor. To avenge our family's grudge and with my life on the line, I feel no fear, but to manage the household in this manner is truly. After the young man left, Xiahou Wuo clenched his fists, his face twisted ferociously, his eyes glinting blood-red as he murmured to himself. It's unclear how much time had passed, but he held a jade slip in a daze, determination emerging in his blood-red eyes. Chapter 651. Endless Guileful Head, 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art 6th Level. _1 Within Changxing Hall, a warm fragrance filled the air. On the white jade bed, Lu Changxing embraced Ling Zixio's plump and soft waist. The soft and silky body was blushing beneath the white, dotted with delicate beads of sweat, giving the skin a tempting luster. Zixio, you've worked hard these days. Lu Changxing lay down on his side and gently stroked Ling Zixio's snow-white skin, speaking softly. In recent days, Ling Zixio was not only concerned with the family's great formation but also had to teach the children about formations. And on the family affairs side, Lu Miaoyun would often consult her, keeping her extremely busy. Her beautiful hair was disheveled, dampened by scented sweat, sticking to her charmingly flushed cheeks, a pair of Qiushui bright eyes brimming with a seductive charm as she spoke in a soft voice. It's not so hard, I usually have nothing else to do. But you, Changxing, are busy all day and still take the time to heal my injuries, even at the expense of your own cultivation. Ling Zixio's voice trembled slightly as she spoke. It's not a big deal. In 2 years, once the children at home can stand on their own, I can focus on cultivation, Lu Changxing said softly, his palm full and overbrimming. Many things can only be understood once done. Before establishing the family, he thought he was well prepared. But now that the family has just been established, even with Bai Lake Mountain as its base, he felt it was quite troublesome. If not for people like Ling Zixio, Lu Miaoyun, and the support of Qingzhou Mountain, he would never have coped alone. As long as you have a plan, go and spend time with Xiao Dao, friend. Ling Zixio propped up her delicate body slightly, speaking softly to Lu Changxing. After Xiao Xie moved into Changxing Hall, she clearly understood the relationship between the two. Nevertheless, she still found it hard to imagine how Lu Changxing had touched the heart of Xiao Xie, a fairy of the Moon Palace. After all, she had heard a bit about this Shiyu fairy these days. A high disciple of a nascent soul immortal from the Qingyun sect, famously cold and sanctified. Yet this lofty fairy not only had a deep relationship with Lu Changxing but also bore him a daughter. While she was curious, she even wanted to see what Shiyu fairy looked like when she dual cultivated with Lu Changxing. I just want to be with you today, Lu Changxing whispered in her ear. Suddenly, the two inverted their positions and began to indulge in intimate caresses. Afterward, they gradually fell asleep. Just at this moment, a system prompt sounded in Lu Changsheng's mind. Congratulations to the host for the birth of 10 offspring, earning one chance at the lucky draw. 10? Could it be that my grandchildren are going to be like me, starting with 10, then 20, 30, 50? If that's the case, doesn't it mean that every so often I could get a lucky draw? Lu Changxing, upon hearing the system prompt, showed a hint of surprise in his eyes. Since he agreed a year and a half ago, children from the mortal Lu family began to marry and start families. Now, after more than a year, the third generation of the Lu family was being born one after another. At this rate, it wouldn't take many years for the third generation of the Lu family to reach 20, 30, or even 100. If every few dozens of offspring brought child money system gifts, this efficiency was far better than when he worked alone. Looking at Ling Zixiao in his arms, her complexion pale and beautiful from overexertion, who had entered into sleep with even breathing, Lu Changxing silently thought, "System draw." Instantly the system drawing wheel appeared. Accompanied by a golden light, it began to spin. Soon after, the golden light stopped in the other category. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring the corpse charm. Endless guileful head. The reward has been issued to system space. The host may check it at any time. An image of a hideous face with unkempt hair appeared, along with the system prompt. Corpse charm? Endless guileful head? What is this all about? Lu Changxing was puzzled after seeing the reward from the draw. He was aware of corpse charms, a general term for practicing zombies. Like Xiahou Moneyzine zombie he encountered before, it could also be called a corpse charm. But he had never heard of a corpse charm that consisted of solely a head. His mental spirit stirred slightly and he looked to the system space. Corpse charm, endless guileful head. Rank, 3rd rank. Description: one of the corpse deception sect's sacred corpse charms, crafted from a nascent soul cultivator turned into a living dead. Through various secret techniques, when invaded by heart demons, the heart demon, true elixir, mana, and divine skills all fuse into the corpse's head, creating an unpredictable array of divine skills that fear neither sunlight nor thunderbolts. A corpse charm made from a nascent soul immortal? Lu Changxing was astounded as he read the description. As far as he knew, most zombies fall under the category of cold beings, fearing sunlight and thunderbolt techniques. Yet this endless guileful head was truly peculiar, not just a disembodied head but also fearless of sunlight and thunderbolts. Practicing zombies mostly belongs to the demon path, and this endless guileful head seems to be a particularly sinister existence even among them. If I were to use this thing in public, I would probably be mistaken for a demon cultivator. Moreover, as far as I am aware, the more powerful and sinister a corpse charm, the more likely it is to backfire on its master. However, since it's a product of the system, I suppose this endless guileful head must have some sort of master recognition effect, and wouldn't turn on its master, right? Lu Changxing looked at the endless guileful head in the system space, pondering. Based on the system's description, he guessed that the endless guileful head was no trivial matter. Aside from possessing the combat power of nascent soul, its skills and divine skills likely also posed a significant threat to nascent soul immortals. But the more powerful an object, the more strength required to control and master it. Forget it, let's just keep this thing in the system space for now and take it out when it's needed. Although Lu Changxing was curious about the combat power and divine skills of this endless guileful head. Chapter 652. Endless guileful head, 100 refinements treasure body art 6th level. But in his eyes, this thing was currently inconvenient to take out. After all, such objects could only be used when he faced danger, and only if it wouldn't expose the situation. If used under normal circumstances, it would definitely bring trouble to himself. Time flew by swiftly, and in the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. During these months, all 5 of Lu Changxing's pregnant concubines had given birth to their children. Among the 5 children, 2 possessed a spiritual root, bringing the total number of Lu Changxing's offspring with spiritual roots to 43. Once all 43 children reached adulthood and became cultivators, the number of cultivators in the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family would match that of a normal cultivation family. However, seeing the birth of these 5 children, Lu Changxing became increasingly puzzled about Nangong Mili's situation. His concubines, who became pregnant more than a year later than Nangong Mili, had already given birth. Why was there still no reaction from her womb? Calculating the time, it had been over 2 years. Even for a nascent soul immortal to be pregnant, It could not possibly last this long, right? Could it be that she needed to be pregnant for 3 years and give birth to Ineza? If not for knowing that the system could not air, Lu Changxing would have suspected there was a problem with the system. It was because of this that Lu Changxing's anticipation and curiosity towards the child in Nangong Mili's womb grew even more. Not long ago, Lu Changxing's concubine Xia Zizhu had taken a high-grade breakthrough elixir and successfully broke through to the 7th level energy refinement. Thinking of Xia Zizhu's spirit-nurturing physique, Lu Changxing naturally took extra care of her, hoping that her second child would bring him a pleasant surprise. Perhaps because he was now a foundation establishment cultivator and Xia Zizhu's spirit-nurturing physique made it relatively difficult to conceive, she had not yet become pregnant again. However, when it came to difficulty in getting pregnant, Bai Ling was even more challenging. This young girl had been taken as a concubine during the wedding at Bai Lake Mountain. In the past 6 months, Lu Changxing had not stinted on his affection for this young girl. Yet, even after 6 months had passed and the 5 aggregates proliferation method had been used, Bai Ling's belly still showed no signs of pregnancy. Lu Changxing suspected that it might be due to Bai Ling's bloodline. He and Ling Zixiao had both checked Bai Ling's condition in the past. There was a high probability that a bloodline reversal or mutation had occurred, making her half-demon of the demon race. Under such circumstances, the probability of the two conceiving offspring was quite low. Lu Changxing did not care much about this, intending to let nature take its course to have a child if possible, and if not, then so be it. Given Bai Ling's current talent, she had hopes of reaching foundation establishment, even core formation in the future. Though her personality was seriously socially anxious and timid, she would become a significant battle power for his family in the future. Dad, the golden armor spirit beans on your golden beanstalk have fallen off. One day Lu Pingan brought Lu Changxing some good news. Hearing this, Lu Changxing immediately stepped out of Changxing Hall and went deep into the herbal garden at Lingcue Cliff. Dad, when I was patrolling just now, I saw that all 8 spirit beans had fallen off. Upon seeing Lu Changxing arrive, Lu Pingan immediately came forward and handed him the 8 thumb-sized golden armor spirit beans. Very good. Lu Changxing played with the 8 golden armor spirit beans in his hands, his face showing joy. After so many years he finally saw the spirit beans mature. Decree. He formed a hand seal and channeled his mana into one of the spirit beans. Instantly, the spirit bean rose into the air and transformed into a tall figure clad in golden armor, a warrior. However, this golden armor warrior, compared to those transformed by the golden armor bean mother, was significantly weaker in stature and presence. Hit me with all your strength in a punch. Lu Changxing instructed the golden armor warrior in front of him. This golden armor warrior's battle power was quite straightforward, suited for close combat as a tank, and did not possess any techniques. Boom! Upon receiving the command, the golden armor warrior immediately raised its hand and threw a punch at Lu Changxing. The wind from the punch whistled, reaching him in an instant. Facing the punch, Lu Changxing did not blink, maintaining a calm demeanor as he lifted his hand and effortlessly caught the fist. Strength is at late-stage body refinement level, and the hardness barely reaches the level of a superior-grade magic artifact. Lu Changxing released the fist and mused inwardly, getting a rough estimate of this golden armor warrior's strength. But in his opinion, the greatest function of a golden armor warrior was not for combat. It was their ability to understand simple commands and instructions, making them suitable for labor. With these 8 golden armor warriors, crafting a second-rank puppet would be much simpler. Many components would not need to be crafted by himself. What about you, want to have a try? Lu Changxing saw his son Lu Pingan eyeing the golden armor warrior with evident interest and asked with a smile. Dad, this golden armored man seems different from the one used by Aunt Yun before, not as powerful. Lu Pingan commented. He had also witnessed the might of the golden armor bean mother on the day Xiahou money had arrived. He could clearly feel that although this warrior looked similar, its aura was significantly weaker. Yes, the golden armor warrior you saw was transformed by the bean mother. This golden armor warrior is merely transformed from a spirit bean produced by the bean mother, equivalent to a late-stage body refinement cultivator. If you are interested, you can spar with it and see for yourself. Lu Changxing said. Although his son Lu Pingan had only the strength of the 3rd-level energy refinement, he possessed the martial prowess of an innate great grandmaster. Late-stage body refinement? Great. Hearing this, Lu Pingan immediately nodded, raring to go as he waved at the golden armor warrior. Come on. You silly thing, don't you see where this is? This is the herbal garden. What if you damage the spiritual medicines? Lu Changxing, seeing his son behaving this way, gave him a smack on the head, chiding him. Subsequently, he walked out of the herbal garden with Lu Pingan to an open field, signifying for the golden armor warrior to attack Lu Pingan. Bang! The golden armor warrior burst toward Lu Pingan like a cannonball. Chapter 653, Endless Guileful Head, 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art 6th Level. Well done. Upon seeing this, Lu Pingan stepped forward, his fist surging with blood and vigor as he threw a punch. Bang! Dash! As they collided, Lu Pingan was forced to step back repeatedly, leaving deep footprints with each step. But he was undaunted, excitement shining in his eyes. He pushed off with his foot, leaped into the air and continued to throw punches at the golden armor warrior. His punches were ferocious, one after another, with the sound of wind howling and accompanied by the echoes of thunderous roars like those of tigers and leopards. The golden armor warrior faced Lu Pingan's onslaught without dodging or evading, employing a rigid style of fighting that exchanged blow for blow. Even though it was stronger than Lu Pingan in both body and strength, it couldn't gain any advantage. Secret technique, primordial chaos extreme. At that moment, true chi surged within Lu Pingan's body, his muscles bulging as his fists struck out like dragons emerging from the abyss, bombarding the golden armor warrior and forcing it to retreat step by step. Not bad at all. Lu Changxing couldn't help but smile as he watched the scene unfold. Honestly, he truly didn't know the extent of his own son's strength. While the golden armor warrior's fighting style was somewhat stiff and rigid, Lu Pingan's combat awareness and technique were indeed on point. Chick! Lu Changxing channeled mana into the remaining 7 golden armor spirit beans in his hand, causing them to join the battle. Dad, what are you doing? Just as Lu Pingan was getting into the spirit of the fight, he saw this and immediately changed expression, shouting out loud. He was able to suppress the golden armor warrior in front of him purely through technique. But with a single pair of fists, how could he deal with 7 at once? If all 7 joined the fight, he would be done for today. I'm just adding a bit of difficulty for you, Lu Changxing said with a laugh, and after thinking it over, only allowed 2 golden armor warriors to join the fight while the remaining 5 watched from the sidelines. Suddenly, 3 golden armor warriors attacked Lu Pingan in unison. Facing such a siege, Lu Pingan soon became overwhelmed and started to struggle. After all, the combat method of the golden armor warriors bore an aspect of exchanging injury for injury, one force subduing 10 meetings. With 3 acting together, even with superior martial skills, it was hard to cope. Stop. Seeing this, Lu Changxing immediately ordered the golden armor warriors to halt. He took out a rejuvenation insignia from his storage bag and applied it to Lu Pingan, dissipating his bruising and fist injuries while praising, "Not bad. Pingan, you have good talent in martial body refinement. Once you break through the middle stage of chi refinement, your father will teach you body refining techniques, and then you can practice magical dual cultivation." Lu Changxing said this. Body refining techniques? Dad, doesn't the purple true solar scripture in cultivating count as a body refining technique? Lu Pingan asked with some surprise upon hearing this. That's hardly a body refining technique. You'll understand once you break through the middle stage of chi refinement. Lu Changxing chuckled softly, planning to teach Lu Pingan the 100 refinements treasure body art once he broke through the middle stage of chi refinement. Having said that, he recollected all the golden armor warriors, transforming them back into golden armor spirit beans. Seeing his son Lu Pingan looking enviously at the spirit beans in his hand, Lu Changxing smiled and said, "He'll give you a few from the second batch. Don't worry about it for now." "Thank you, father." Lu Pingan scratched his head and revealed a simple, honest smile. "Keep an eye on that golden armor bean, mother, and let me know if anything happens." Lu Changxing patted Lu Pingan on the shoulder, then transformed into an escape light and returned to Changxing Hall. Upon arriving at the hall, he immediately went to a side hall to study the forging of golden armor warrior puppets. Through his divine sense, he conveyed his requirements to the 8 golden armor warriors, instructing them to start work. Clang, 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 dash! In no time the 8 golden armor warriors got to work. The process of puppet crafting is roughly divided into 6 steps: refining, smelting, molding, assembling, fusion formation, and inscription. The golden armor warriors can perform refining, molding, assembling, and inscription. However, refining consumes a significant amount of energy for the golden armor warriors. It's feared that after refining the material for a single component, the energy of a golden armor warrior will be nearly depleted. And having golden armor warriors perform molding and assembling seems somewhat wasteful. So, the most suitable task for the golden armor warriors turns out to be the high-difficulty job of inscription. As long as I convey the necessary inscription steps through my divine sense, the golden armor warriors can replicate them precisely as per my instructions. After half a day, Lu Changxing had a rough understanding of the puppet forging capabilities of the golden armor warriors. Previously, he thought of using the golden armor warriors for the most basic manual labor. Now he realized they could be treated like CNC robots, capable of handling the most delicate and core components. With this, I can make some adjustments to my puppet factory idea. Lu Changxing mused. Right afterward, he went to the puppet workshop at the foot of Baiyun Peak. The workshop was still in its early stages, staffed only by Lu Xianji, 8 cultivators and more than a dozen mortals. Under Lu Xianzi's direction, they began working on Lu Changsheng's concept of a puppet factory assembly line, jointly crafting puppets. Greetings, Mountain Master. Father. Seeing Lu Changxing arrive, everyone respectfully greeted him. Xianji, come over here. Lu Changxing called out to his son Lu Xianji. Yes, father. Upon hearing this, Lu Xianji immediately followed Lu Changxing into a side hall. Xianji, do you have any unfinished puppets that haven't been inscribed yet? Lu Changxing inquired. I do. Please wait a moment, father, Lu Xianji responded, promptly bringing over a beast-shaped puppet. This was just an ordinary first-grade low-quality puppet. Used by cultivators for carrying things around or for keeping watch, cannon fodder at most, there wasn't much of a market for them and they didn't make much money. They were purely practice material. Chapter 654. Endless Guileful Head, 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art 6th Level. _4 Lu Changxing took out a spiritual bean, infused it with mana, and turned it into a golden armor warrior. He conveyed the inscription with his divine sense and handed over the spiritual pattern carving knife to it. Instantly, the golden armor warrior took the spiritual pattern carving knife and went forward to inscribe on the beast-shaped puppet. This? Lu Xianji immediately showed a look of surprise in his eyes upon seeing this scene. This golden armor warrior can follow commands and do some simple tasks, such as refining materials, forging parts, and inscribing formations. Xianji, I want you to mainly study puppet assembly and spiritual patterns in your daily research. You can now omit the inscription part and focus on the big picture, carrying out fusion formation. For the spiritual patterns, you can directly assign them to the golden armor warrior to do. Lu Changxing said aloud. His idea for the puppet factory was to design the puppets himself, providing blueprints and steps. The apprentices and workers of the factory would carry out the refining, molding, and assembly, and then his own family would handle the fusion formation and inscription. But now, with the golden armor warrior, in his view, he could entirely delegate the highly challenging task of inscribing to the golden armor warrior. Yes, father. Upon hearing this, Lu Xianji looked at the golden armor puppet and nodded in agreement. You keep this golden armor warrior. This is how to use the golden armor spirit bean. You can control it to inscribe spiritual patterns in your everyday work. Notify me when you can build avian puppets. If this golden armor warrior runs out of energy, go find your older brother and let him plant the spiritual bean at Lingzue Cliff for a few days. Lu Changxing explained to Lu Xianji how to use the golden armor spirit bean and spoke out loud. He gave his son 3 blueprints of varying difficulty levels for them to practice and attempt to build. Yes, father, your son will certainly not disappoint you. Lu Xianzi's face showed excitement and he spoke earnestly. He never expected his own father would entrust him with such a valuable golden armor warrior. When Xiahou Money came before, he saw his family's golden armor warrior suppress Xiahou Money's zombie-like creatures, aware of the preciousness of such a golden armor warrior. This also made him realize the great expectations his father had for the puppet factory. Okay, work hard and strive to make the puppet factory our family's first profitable industry, Lu Changxing patted his son's shoulder and said. Although the puppet factory was still in its integration phase, hardly making any money, as long as they could produce a steady output of first-grade middle-grade puppets and efficiency improved, they were nearly at the point of making a profit. If they could steadily produce first-grade high-quality puppets, it would be considered a decent industry. Yes. Lu Xianji nodded firmly. He knew if he really could achieve what his father said, the family's puppets could form a profitable industrial chain. After finishing his instructions to Lu Xianji, Lu Changxing returned to Changxing Hall, letting the remaining 7 golden armor warriors continue working, forging parts for him. 2 months later. Changxing Hall, inside the closed-door cultivation chamber. Boom, 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 the figure of Lu Changxing was seated in a meditative posture, his blood and qi surging tumultuously within him like volcanic eruptions and roaring floods, echoing within the chamber, resonating with a clang that persisted for a long time. If it weren't for the special material of the chamber walls and the inscribed formations, the entire chamber might have collapsed from such resonant sound waves. 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art, 6th level. Lu Changxing opened his eyes, his body looking as if it were cast from molten gold, dazzling and fierce, filling his whole being with a strong and oppressive vitality. He clenched his fists, his essence surging, blood qi gushing and treasure light circulating, filled with a strong sense of power. Clang. Lu Changxing took out a superior magic artifact from his storage bag and chopped down on his arm, leaving only a faint white mark. Then he pulled out a lower-grade spiritual artifact from the storage bag, chopping lightly and leaving a faint white mark before chopping down fiercely again. Seeing that it still only left a faint reddish mark, Lu Changxing's face showed a trace of satisfaction. Now I can withstand a spiritual artifact with my bare hands without trouble, Lu Changxing murmured to himself. He thought about how one day if a Foundation establishment cultivator made a move on him, and a spiritual flying sword came killing towards him, he could merely resist the spiritual artifact with his bare hands, an image simply too stylish. Now that the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art has broken through to the 6th level, my speed of refining the 9 Treasure Jade Rui has also increased. In at most 1 year, I will be able to refine this 9 Treasure Jade Rui into my life-bound treasured bone. Lu Changxing placed his hand on his chest, his eyes bright and full of anticipation. Once the life-bound treasured bone was formed, he would gain 9 innate divine abilities. By then the situation with Ling Zixiao could be greatly alleviated. Chapter 655. Twin 4th Grade Spiritual Roots, the 3rd Spiritual Body Descendant. _1 Several days later, Lu Changxing consolidated his breakthrough from the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art and walked out of Changxing Hall feeling refreshed and clear-headed. Standing atop Bai Yun Peak, he gazed into the distance and saw vast ripples of green water. Many fishermen were fishing in Bai Shui Lake. In the Lingtian district, the mutton-fat jade-like Yume rice shimmered and sparkled under the sunlight with its glossy color. 180 mu of Bai Shui rice was like budding green lotuses, gently swaying in the spiritual fields. From afar he could see Ling Zixiao and Master Mo busy with several array masters, still working on the great formation. Transforming into a streak of light, Lu Changxing headed to his own Lingtian district to inspect it. Mountain Master. Mountain Master. Mountain Master. In the Lingtian district's shed, a sallow-faced, emaciated middle-aged man in his 30s stepped forward with several old farmers to greet him. This Yume rice looks like it's about ready to mature, right? Lu Changxing examined the pearly white Yume rice in the field and turned to the middle-aged man, asking aloud. Reporting to the Mountain Master, the Yume rice needs to display faint patterns on the surface before it's fully ripe. There's about a month left before it's completely mature. The yellow-faced middle-aged man, named Luo Jianghe, was a spirit plant farmer, appointed by Lu Miaoyun as the manager of the spiritual fields. Not bad. Lu Changxing nodded, having inspected the Yume rice a while longer, then he looked at the Bai Shui rice and inquired, how much longer until the Bai Shui rice matures? He remembered that the cultivation information provided by the Yu family stated that when the pouches bloomed like lotuses, the rice would be mature. Reporting to the Mountain Master, Bai Shui rice matures once every 2.5 years. There is about half a year left until its maturity, Luo Jianghe replied. Take good care of them. When the harvest comes you'll be rewarded as you deserve. After inspecting the Lingtian district for a while, Lu Changxing encouraged Luo Jianghe with a few words and then headed towards his own talisman workshop. After more than half a year of education, the theoretical school of Bai Lake Mountain was gradually moving from theory to practice. In addition to the puppet workshop managed by Lu Xianji, there was also a talisman workshop and a wine brewing workshop. This talisman workshop was not necessarily about talisman masters creating talismans. The main activity was producing talisman paper and spiritual ink. Mountain Master. Mountain Master. Upon seeing Lu Changxing arrive, the working cultivators and laborers busy at the workshop greeted him respectfully. Lu Changxing nodded his head to signal them to continue. Husband, what brings you here? Not far away, Chu Jinjin was instructing their daughter Lu Caijin in the making of talisman paper. Seeing Lu Changxing, she greeted him with a smile on her face. Having had some exposure to talisman paper making on Qingzhou Mountain, she often visited the talisman paper workshop to watch and help with producing talisman paper and spiritual ink. I had some free time and thought I'd come have a look, Lu Changxing said to Chu Jinjin, then immediately turned his attention to his daughter Lu Caijin, who was making talisman paper. The manufacturing of ordinary talisman paper was quite simple. In essence, it involved crushing spiritual materials and then boiling them, continuously purifying them with purification technique to remove impurities, and finally casting spirit infusion technique on the semi-finished talisman paper to imbue it with spiritual patterns. The difficulty of this process lay in the proportioning of spiritual materials, the control of the boiling time, and proficiency in the spirit infusion technique. As a second-grade talisman master, Lu Changxing was very clear about these methods, and he had even invited 2 experienced masters from Qingzhou Mountain to provide guidance. Caijin, that's enough, Lu Changxing said to his daughter, who was seriously focusing on the big pot and casting the purification technique in a gentle voice. Daddy? Lu Caijin finally let out a long breath and wiped the sweat from her brow. She had been brought over by her mother and was not familiar with the process yet, feeling a bit nervous. How do you feel about it? Lu Changxing asked his daughter. It's a bit boring, Lu Caijin pouted. Being bored is a good sign, there's nothing fun about this kind of thing. Lu Changxing laughed hearing her response, then affectionately ruffled his daughter's hair and said warmly. But mother insisted on bringing me here to find me something to do, Lu Caijin complained with a pout. Your mother just doesn't want you to be bored at home all the time. In a while, once the spirit bees you wanted arrive, you can try raising them for fun, Lu Changxing said with a smile. His daughter showed a 29% talent for beast taming. She was not interested in fish breeding but had expressed a desire to keep bees. In the beast taming heritage he had obtained from Meng Xiaochan, there were several methods for rearing spirit bees. Accordingly, Lu Changxing indulged her desire and got the Ji family to purchase various types of spirit bees for his daughter to enjoy rearing. Thank you, Daddy. Lu Caijin beamed at the news. Humph, keep spoiling her, Chu Jinjin remarked with a feigned huff upon seeing this. My Caijin is so sensible, how could I not spoil her? And my Jinjin is the same as your husband, I'll fulfill your wishes as much as possible. Lu Changxing gently embraced Chu Jinjin. And Lu Caijin, seeing her parents showing affection, displayed an expression of helplessness and disdain, and turned her attention back to her big pot. So many people around. Even as an old married couple, Chu Jinjin still felt a bit shy expressing affection in public, and so she playfully hit Lu Changxing. Lu Changxing chuckled and walked around the talisman workshop, wine brewing workshop, and puppet workshop with Chu Jinjin. Currently, all 3 workshops were in the adaptation and training phase, not making any money and even running at a loss. Only when the processes were smooth and started producing according to his plans could they begin to turn a profit. Husband, in a few days it will be the day of the spirit root testing ceremony. When Lu Changxing and Chu Jinjin returned to the Lu family mansion, Lu Miaoyun greeted him and immediately brought up the topic. As this was the first spirit testing ceremony of the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, Lu Changxing the mountain master as well as Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaoyun, and others all came to observe the ceremony. The task of presiding over the ceremony was handed over to his son, Lu Pingan. Lu Qingxing. Lu Pingan, looking at the name list in his hand, called out, feeling as if in a different world. He still vividly remembered the year he attended the spirit testing ceremony at Qingzhou Mountain under the guidance of his father Lu Changxing and mother Lu Lanshu. Now he had become the one presiding over the spirit testing ceremony. The little girl who was called by name immediately went in front of the spirit testing pillar, led by her mother Yu Yao, dropped a drop of blood and then held the pillar. No spiritual root. Seeing no reaction from the spirit testing pillar, Lu Pingan sighed softly and said aloud, "Mother." The little girl saw no reaction from the spirit testing pillar, and understanding the situation, a trace of sadness appeared on her face. "It's okay, Qingxing." Yu Yao tried to smile despite the clear effort. Having given birth to 6 children, she had already gone through this several times. But seeing that her daughter had no spiritual root, she still felt somewhat downhearted. Sigh. Lu Changxing watched this scene and also sighed softly. He stepped forward to pick up the girl and comfort her. Lu Qingxian. Lu Pinggan read the second name. Xiao Yuyao promptly urged her son to come forward. The little boy walked to the spirit testing pillar, dropped a drop of blood and gripped the pillar. Instantly the spirit testing pillar lit up with a faint red glow. And out of the 10 segments of the pillar, 6 lit up. This indicated a 4th grade spiritual root. This is a 4th grade spiritual root. Lu Miaoyun, Chu Jinjin, Lu Miaohuan, and others saw the spirit testing pillar and their eyes revealed surprise, delight, and envy. You know, out of 9 grades of spiritual roots, a 4th grade spiritual root is already considered a high-quality spiritual root. In a cultivation family, such talent belongs to the seeds of foundation establishment. As long as they practice well in the future, they have hope to establish their foundation. Currently, in the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, among the offspring of Lu Changxing, no one has had such a high quality of spiritual root talent before. The highest spiritual root was that of Lu Miaohuan's son, Lu Qingshan, with a 6th grade spiritual root. However, not only does Lu Qingshan possess a 6th grade spiritual root, but he also has the legendary spiritual body, which makes his talent higher than Lu Qingchuan's. A 4th grade spiritual root, aligned with the fire element of the 5 elements. Lu Pinggan, seeing this result and feeling somewhat envious, took a deep breath and said aloud. Very good, the first year of the spirit testing ceremony for my Blue Lake Mountain Lu family has revealed a 4th grade spiritual root. This is a good omen. Lu Changxing stepped forward, patted the boy's head, showed a smile and said loudly. Even though he already knew of his son's spiritual root, under these circumstances, he couldn't help but show happiness. Congratulations to my husband. Congratulations to Sister Yuyao. Congratulations to the Mountain Master. Wishing the young master a long and prosperous path in the way of immortals. Congratulations to the Mountain Master. Wishing the young master a long and prosperous path in the way of immortals. The wives and villagers of Hushan town who were observing the ceremony congratulated them one after another. Chapter 657. Twin 4th grade spiritual roots, the 3rd spiritual body descendant. Mother. Lu Qingxian was somewhat at a loss in the face of such a scene. He. Lu Changxing, holding the child, turned to Xiao Yuyao and said, Yuyao, thank you for your hard work. Having given birth to a child with a 4th grade spiritual root, according to the family rules he had previously established, she was entitled to a reward. Not only could she be promoted from 9th grade concubine, but should Lu Qingxian excel in the future, she too could rise in status through her son. My lord, your concubine, did not find it hard, Xiao Yuyao said with a trembling voice. She came from a minor qi refinement family. After her family fell, she was sold into the White Jade Tower. She had expected only grim and miserable days ahead, yet became a maid to Lu Changxing. Over the years, aside from bearing several children, her life was extremely comfortable. Now her young son possessed a 4th grade spiritual root, becoming Lu Changxing's child with the best spiritual root, which was an immense surprise to her. The ceremony will continue. Wangshu. Lu Changxing, looking towards Lu Wangshu beside him, showed an encouraging look. Big pot, be gentle. Lu Wangshu, dressed in a pale pink dress as cute as a carved doll, hopped forward and stretched out her delicate little hand, saying to Lu Pinggan in a crisp voice. She had been raised by Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaoyun and Chu Jinjin since childhood, and was also loved by Lu Changxing, thus had a lively and cheerful disposition. Okay. Lu Pinggan looked at his sister and grinned. Then he used a small knife to make a gentle cut on her hand, squeezed out a drop of blood, and had her grasp the spirit testing pillar. On the spirit testing pillar, pale green and deep blue lights blossomed. A total of 6 sections lit up on the 10-segment spirit testing pillar. This, another 4th grade spiritual root. 2 4th grade spiritual roots in a row. This. Lu Miaoyun and the others, upon witnessing this scene, had faces full of astonishment and surprise. It should be known that at the spirit testing ceremony of Qingzhou Mountain, it was quite rare to encounter a 4th grade spiritual root even once in 10 years. Now, among Lu Changxing's children undergoing the spiritual root test, there were astonishingly 2 4th grade spiritual roots in a row. This Lu Changxing really has extraordinary luck. Master Mo, who had arranged the great formation for Bai Lake Mountain, had also come to watch the ceremony. Seeing this scene, he couldn't help but exclaim. He had previously learned about Lu Changxing, feeling that this person had no small amount of fortune and opportunity. able to even break through to foundation establishment with a lower-grade spiritual root and establish a family. Now seeing that there were 2 4th-grade spiritual roots in his family, he too couldn't help but marvel and feel moved. After all, when it comes to childbirth, in addition to factors like the parents, luck plays a big part. Another 4th-grade spiritual root? Lu Pingan looked at the spirit testing pillar in front of him with a look of surprise and doubtfulness. He then transmitted his voice to Lu Changxing. Dad, could there be something wrong with this spirit testing pillar? Can't you hope for something good? Lu Changxing, upon hearing this, spoke to his son somewhat irritatedly. 2 4th-grade spiritual roots had appeared in his own family, and this silly son actually suspected there was a problem with the spirit testing pillar. He stepped forward, holding Lu Wangsha's hand with a beaming smile and said loudly, "Excellent, excellent. My Lu family has produced 2 4th-grade spiritual roots in 1 year. This is a blessing from the heavens for my Lu family, a blessing for Bai Lake Mountain. Congratulations to my husband. Congratulations, Sister Miaoga. Congratulations to the Mountain Master, and may the young lady enjoy a long and prosperous path as an immortal." Everyone immediately congratulated them loudly. Since Xiao Xia's mission was to station at Bai Lake Mountain and to keep a low profile, she rarely made public appearances. This time, the spirit testing ceremony was attended by Lu Miaoga, accompanied by Lu Wangshu. Over the years, everyone had come to regard Lu Wangshu as Lu Miaoga's daughter. "Hee, Daddy, am so amazing. Is there a reward for me?" Lu Wangshu tilted her little head up and asked Lu Changxing. "Yes, there is, for everyone." Lu Changxing said with a smile, petted the somewhat bewildered Lu Qingchuan's head beside him, and turned to Lu Qingxing saying, Qingxian, what reward would you like?" I would like a puppet bird." Lu Qingxian thought for a moment and then spoke up. He was very fond of the puppet bird at Bai Lake Mountain Amusement Park and wanted one of his own. "All right, I'll get you one later," Lu Changxing said with a nod and a smile. He then took the 3 children aside to sit and signaled for the spirit testing ceremony to continue. The villagers of Hushan town were also much tenser at this moment, looking at their own children with more anticipation. Hoping to be touched by the fortune of Bai Lake Mountain's new mountain master, they wished for their children to be detected with a spiritual root. Hushan town had a total of 23 eligible children. As the tests proceeded one by one, there were no surprises. Only 2 children were found to have spiritual roots, but both were lower-grade spiritual roots. However, relative to the circumstances, having 2 immortal seedlings among 23 people was already quite impressive. Sometimes, out of dozens of children, not a single one would possess a spiritual root. Chapter 658, Top-Level Spiritual Body, Black Dragon Codex. _15 Poisons Cult, Tianzhu Peak. In the closed-door cultivation chamber, waves of subtle fragrance wafted through the air. On the ink-black jade couch, Nangong Mili, draped in a luxurious purple silk robe, gazed weakly and palely at the infant in her arms. The newborn was fair and tender, its flesh aglow with iridescence, emanating strands of fragrance that filled the entire chamber with a sweet aroma. Iya, the infant didn't cry or fuss, its large eyes, clear and shiny, gazing at Nangong Mili with a milky voice. "Daughter, this is my daughter. My daughter, Nangong Mili's daughter." Nangong Mili's enchanting face at this moment was full of satisfaction and adoring affection. Holding this child, she felt as if she were holding the whole world. The connection of blood between mother and daughter brought an inexplicable joy to her heart, radiance of motherhood shining brightly. A surge of spiritual mechanism, a hidden fragrance wafts. This child must possess some kind of spiritual body, worthy of being my daughter, Nangong Mili's daughter. Nangong Mili continuously observed her newborn, her face alight with joy, maternal tenderness overflowing from her narrow phoenix eyes. Seeing the baby in her arms, she involuntarily thought of Lu Changxing. Although she had carried the child for over 2 years, she couldn't be certain the child would be born exceptionally talented with a spiritual body. At most, she could ensure her child would have a spiritual root, a talent for a spiritual root that wasn't bad. The talent her child now possessed was partly due to luck, as well as the child's father's contribution. I wonder what kind of Taoist body that scoundrel man has. Nangong Mili pondered in her heart. She had previously speculated that Lu Changxing might possess some unrivaled Taoist body. Only with such an attribute could he, while at the foundation establishment stage, use his origin source to nurture a hint of golden core charm for his true elixir. Now, seeing her daughter, her suspicions were almost confirmed. Firm in her belief that Lu Changxing must possess some rare constitution. Humph, this is my daughter, Nangong Mili's daughter. What does it have to do with that scoundrel man? Nangong Mili coldly snorted when she thought of Lu Changxing. She then continued to look at her daughter, smelling the sweet scent exuding from her flesh, with a glowing maternal expression. A surge of spiritual mechanism, a hidden fragrance wafts. What kind of spiritual body might this be? Yeah. The baby cooed, lifting a small hand, melting the usually cold-hearted Nangong Mili, who gently extended a slender white jade finger for her daughter to grasp. At that moment, both mother and daughter smiled. From now on your name will be Yao Yao. Nangong Yao Yao. By Lake Mountain. Changxing Hall, Talisman Crafting Room. This. Lu Changxing's face bloomed with excitement and joy. The mystical sensation that had just reached him was intensely profound, like nothing he had ever felt before. Beyond the pulsating improvement of his spiritual root, there was a feeling as if he was undergoing a rebirth. His whole body became translucent, feeling much lighter, with an indescribable, mystical change. Lu Changxing knew this was the change brought about by his child's spiritual body. To have such a noticeable transformation just at birth was astonishing. System. At once, Lu Changxing mentally called out, bringing up the system to check the situation. Name, Lu Changxing. Identity, Master of By Lake Mountain, Cultivation, Foundation Establishment 4th Level, Lifespan, 41/286, Talents, 2nd Grade Spiritual Root, Gingjin Body Constitution, Medium Grade Spiritual Body, Blood Talisman Spiritual Body, High Grade Spiritual Body, Flawless Heavenly Fragrance Body, Top Level Spiritual Body, Cultivation Technique, 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art, 7 Luminaries Great Freedom Sword Scripture, Yin-Yang Harmony Technique, 99. Mystical Talisman Scripture, Immortal Beauty Technique, Tai Xing Shui Ju, Spells, 7 Luminary Sword Radiance, 7 Luminary Sword Shield, 7 Luminary Sword Escape. Items, Endless Guileful Head, Lu Family Genealogy, Spirit Slaughterer, Spiritual Eye Spring, Profound Origin Bead, Book of Malevolent Curses and Fates, Luminous Treasure Tree, Golden Armor Bean Mother, Life Substituting Talisman, Coagulation Crystal Elixir. Magical Treasures, 9 Treasure Jade Rui Oceanic Bead, Black Dragon Magical Bead, 100 Steeds Towering Pagoda Lock. Skills, Alchemy 2nd Rank, Talisman Making 3rd Rank, Puppetry 2nd Rank, Spirit Slaughter 2nd Rank, Wine Brewing 2nd Rank. Spiritual Pets, Mount Sumeru Tree King 9 Netherhound 6-Winged Golden Silkworm, Cold Blue Dark Turtle, Peach Blossom Goo, Bloodline Effect. Offspring Spiritual Root Probability plus 25%, Progeny plus 15%. Family, 239, 2nd Grade Spiritual Root, Top Level Spiritual Body, Flawless. Heavenly Fragrance Body. Lu Changxing, looking at the changes in his talents, was filled with emotion. He hadn't expected to elevate directly from a 4th grade spiritual root to a 2nd grade, and to gain a top-level spiritual body. His talents had been completely upgraded to a new level compared to before. In his family, the one with the highest talent was Ling Zixiao. 3rd grade spiritual root, Dragon Roar Physique. But now, with the birth of this child, his spiritual root talent had undergone a qualitative change, surpassing Ling Zixiao. Indeed, one must breed the best, as 100 lower-grade spiritual roots cannot compare to a single high-quality spiritual root, nor to a top-level spiritual body. Now that my 4th grade spiritual root has advanced to 2nd grade, breaking through to core formation in the future will be much easier. If in the following decades, if my chi is exuberant and I father an earth spirit root or heavenly spiritual root offspring, core formation will be as easy as a snap of the fingers. However, what kind of spiritual body is the flawless heavenly fragrance body, and why haven't I heard of it? Lu Changxing looked at the flawless heavenly fragrance body, murmuring to himself. Due to the situation with his child, Bai Ling, he had read many books concerning spiritual bodies. But he had never heard of the flawless heavenly fragrance body. He remembered the profound change that had made his entire being much more translucent, and upon closing his eyes to introspect, he examined his whole body. He immediately noticed that his flesh, meridians, the previously unblemished body honed by the 100 refinements treasure body art upon reaching foundation establishment, now had an additional crystalline quality, without a single flaw, as if they were carved from crystal. Chapter 659. Top-level spiritual body, Black Dragon Codex. And his body was suffused with a faint fragrance. A body without impurity, with all the meridians unblocked, is this what a top-level spiritual body is? Such a spiritual body could probably start cultivation early and face no obstacles during the foundation establishment breakthrough. Moreover, some spiritual bodies might change as age increases or upon breakthroughs in cultivation realms. This flawless heavenly fragrance body as a top-level spiritual body definitely isn't just this simple. There's also this fragrance. Lu Changxing observed the changes within his body, the fragrance diffusing from his flesh, pondering in his mind. When the time comes, I should ask Zishao or Shiyu for more information. Otherwise, unless I delve into it myself, I want to understand the full effects of the spiritual body until it's fully matured. Lu Changxing didn't think further but planned to consult Ling Zixiao and Xiao Xie later to see if they knew anything about this flawless heavenly fragrance body. His mental spirit stirred slightly. Name, Nangong Yao Yao. Lifespan, 1/118, talent, 2nd grade spiritual root, flawless heavenly fragrance body, top-level spiritual body, cultivation level, none, ability, bewitching technique compatibility, 80%, Nangong Yao Yao? Is it a daughter? Lu Changxing saw the infant's image and name that appeared, his heart skipping a beat. He immediately knew Nangong Mili had given birth to a daughter. Although he was somewhat displeased that her surname was Nangong, he was rather open-minded about it and didn't mind it much. Just a 2nd grade spiritual root? Could it be that the long pregnancy resulted in a relatively mature spiritual root? So, with the added bonuses, did I advance directly from a 4th grade to a 2nd grade? But why such a long lifespan? Lu Changxing was surprised when he saw his daughter's lifespan. He had seen the lifespans of many other children at birth, and none had exceeded 100 years. Even 90 years old was rare. Yet, the lifespan of Nangong Yao Yao reached a staggering 118 years. To think that many cultivators in the later stages of energy refinement only lived as long as that. This flawless heavenly fragrance body has the effect of extending lifespan. Lu Changxing glanced at his own lifespan and instantly noticed it had increased by 7 years. Having undergone the foundation establishment, taken 1st grade, 2nd grade and 3rd stage life-extending pills, and still gaining an additional 7 years of life, its effect was evident. Bewitching technique compatibility at 80%? Lu Changxing frowned when he saw the ability aspect. The compatibility was undeniably high. For example, Lu Miage's talisman making ability was 56%, and Ling Zixiao's formation ability was currently only 81%. Cultivation technique, Black Dragon Codex. Level, peripheral sect level. Description, the foundational technique of the Blackwater sect. Cultivate to the extreme to transform into a black dragon, command the winds and the clouds, summon the rain and control thunder. It's just a peripheral sect level technique. But even a peripheral sect level is good. Orthodox level techniques ultimately have a high threshold, while those of the peripheral sect level have a relatively lower threshold, which makes it somewhat easier for my wives and children to grasp. Lu Changxing regarded the Black Dragon Codex, exhaling a calm breath, not too disappointed. After all, for him currently, unless he drew a mental spirit-related technique, there wasn't much difference between peripheral sect level and orthodox level. System, inherit the legacy. Without much thought, Lu Changxing's mental spirit stirred, activating the Black Dragon Codex. To see if its detailed content might offer him a surprise. Chapter 660. Top-level spiritual body, Black Dragon Codex. Suddenly, the practice methods related to the Black Dragon Codex burst into Lu Changxing's mind, as if pouring down like enlightening nectar. He didn't know how much time had passed. This Black Dragon Codex really has something. Lu Changxing opened his eyes, revealing a hint of joy. Through the system's inheritance, he had become thoroughly familiar with this Black Dragon Codex. He found that although it was a technique of the peripheral sect level, it was much more powerful than the peripheral sect level Red Phoenix True Scripture, which he had acquired. This technique, just as the system had introduced, could allow one to transform into a black dragon upon complete mastery. It counted as a technique that dual cultivate both magical abilities and physical body, or one could say it primarily focused on body refinement. In the presence of water veins or sea areas, the power of this technique could be further enhanced. But what truly excited Lu Changxing was that within this technique lay a method for cultivating a top-level Dao soldier. The Blackwater Dragon Spirit Weapon. One would first craft a Blackwater Dragon spell restriction, then infuse the restriction into the body of an aquatic demon beast with dragon blood, and through continuous nurturing strengthen its body, cultivate its spirituality, accumulate its essence, slowly advancing it into a Blackwater Dragon Dao soldier. This Blackwater Dragon Dao soldier had the potential to reach the 3rd rank as a Dao soldier. Even without having cultivated the Black Dragon Codex, one could still craft it. If a cultivator of the Black Dragon Codex were to nurture dozens or hundreds of Blackwater Dragon Dao soldiers, he could form a great formation and dominate the waters, defeating enemies beyond his level with absolute ease. If one could completely master the Black Dragon Codex and transform into a Black Dragon, he could even integrate all the Blackwater Dragon Dao soldiers into his divine spirit, comparable to divinity transformation. Blackwater Dragon Dao Soldier. Every 10 years, almost on schedule, a dragon carp is born in by Shui Lake. This dragon carp, also known as the young dragon breed, could potentially be used to cultivate Blackwater Dragon spirit weapons. Moreover, to be honest, the red blood carp and blue blood carp also contain a trace amount of dragon blood in their bodies, which could be tried in cultivating Dao soldiers. Even if that doesn't work out, with the unparalleled environmental advantage of Baishui Lake, I can also purchase the relevant aquatic demon beasts from outside to cultivate these Blackwater Dragon Dao soldiers. Lu Changxing muttered to himself, filled with joy. The previously acquired 99 mystical talisman scripture also contained methods to refine Dao soldiers. But those talisman weapons, not only did they consume time and energy in their creation, but they also required the expenditure of one's cultivation level to nurture, which was quite troublesome for him. Now, these Blackwater Dragon Dao soldiers required no such expenditure of energy, only money to slowly cultivate. With the environment of Baishui Lake, if he could nurture dozens or even hundreds of Blackwater Dragon spirit weapons at home, it would be a significant foundation for his family in the future. However, the Black Dragon Codex has one flaw: it affects fertility as one's realm advances. While not to the point of sterility after cultivating it, conceiving offspring becomes many times more difficult than under normal circumstances. Thus, it's mandatory to disclose this before teaching this technique. Lu Changxing exhaled softly. Logically, top-level techniques wouldn't have any side effects. However, extremely powerful techniques often came with certain side effects, such as Xiao Xia's supreme forgetful love technique. But with offspring who possess a spiritual root, many who are single don't plan to marry, so Lu Changxing would also base his decision on their wishes. Let's see what change has occurred to my second-grade spiritual roots cultivation speed. Lu Changxing exhaled lightly and walked out of the talisman crafting room in a good mood, heading towards his private cultivation room to check on the cultivation speed of his second-grade spiritual root. He would also take this opportunity to see if the flawless heavenly fragrance body had any effect on cultivation. Just then Xiao Xia happened to walk out of a cave dwelling. Seeing Lu Changxing, her cool demeanor showed a hint of surprise. She felt that there was some change in Lu Changxing before her. But exactly what had changed she couldn't quite put her finger on it just then. "Xiyu, what's wrong?" Lu Changxing saw a trace of surprise on Xiao Xia's face and asked with a smile. "It's nothing. I just feel like, Changxing, there's been a subtle, inexplicable change in your aura." Xiao Xia said so. An inexplicable change in aura? Lu Changxing was startled when he heard this. He knew Xiao Xia wouldn't have such a feeling for no reason. At once, he thought of the flawless heavenly fragrance body and guessed it was this constitution that brought about the subtle, inexplicable change. Just like the immortal beauty technique and peach blossom goo had each brought changes to him. Could it be, this flawless heavenly fragrance body naturally possesses a bewitching effect? Thinking of his daughter Nangong Yaoyao's talents, Lu Changxing's heart skipped a beat. If that really were the case, he felt as though he was racing down a path of billions of fairies and witches' dreams. He said with a light laugh, "I've made some progress in a cultivation technique, which might have caused a small enhancement to my aura and charisma." I didn't expect Changxing to actually spend time on this aspect. Upon hearing this, smiles appeared on Xiao Xia's cool face. Having known Lu Changxing for so many years, she naturally knew that Lu Changxing cultivated some kind of beauty-preserving cultivation technique. Otherwise, there couldn't have been such a great change in his appearance and aura. Such a thing was quite common in the cultivation world. However, it was mostly female cultivators who would cultivate such techniques, with very few male cultivators spending time and resources in this area. Now that Lu Changxing had broken through foundation establishment and still cultivated such a technique was even rarer. Everyone has a heart for beauty. Shiyu, if you're interested, I can teach you this technique. But, my own Shiyu is already so beautiful, it seems unnecessary for you to use such techniques. Lu Changxing said with a smile. Smooth talker. Xiao Xia's expression relaxed into a smile, the coldness gone. Why do I also smell a faint fragrance? It's quite pleasant. Xiao Xia sniffed gently and detected a faint, refreshing fragrance on Lu Changxing. That's also a result of the recent breakthrough in the technique. Lu Changxing explained. Xiao Xia did not inquire further, simply noting that the fragrance was very comforting and complemented Lu Changxing's spring breeze-like aura perfectly. After a few words of chat, Xiao Xia left to find her daughter, Lu Wangshu, upon hearing that Lu Changxing wanted to go into seclusion. Lu Changxing then went to his seclusion chamber and sat down to cultivate. Time passed bit by bit. Phew. After half a day, Lu Changxing opened his eyes and exhaled a long breath of turbid air. As expected of a second-rank spiritual root, speed increased by 6 or 7 tenths compared to before. However, this flawless heavenly fragrance body doesn't seem to enhance the speed of cultivation. It just adds some resilience to my meridians and dantian. No, that's not right. It should be said there's no enhancement for foundation establishment cultivators, but for energy refining cultivators who haven't yet started cultivating, the effect is significant. Given this pace, if I cultivate in peace in at most 2 years, I should be able to break through. Lu Changxing murmured to himself. Chapter 661. Refining the Tao Soldier, transmitting the method to Bai Ling. _1 After experiencing the cultivation speed of a second-grade spiritual root, Lu Changxing then attempted to condense the Blackwater Dragon spell. This Blackwater Dragon spell was somewhat similar to the Divine Sense Attack secret technique, Soul Dispersion Needle, that he had practiced before. Through visualization, the circulation of mana, and the internal condensation of runes, he eventually forged a Blackwater Jiao Dragon figure spell formation. Under normal circumstances, it would be very difficult to comprehend and forge the Blackwater Dragon spell. However, with system-assisted enlightenment, it was naturally a piece of cake for Lu Changxing, who did not have to torture himself as he did when initially practicing the Soul Dispersion Needle. As his mind visualized and mana circulated and converged, 72 ancient runes shaped by the 7 luminaries' mana within his dantian came together to form a mysterious pattern of runes. 5 days later, 72 ancient runes appeared in Lu Changxing's dantian, creating a mystical Taoist charm. These 72 runes moved slowly like fish, forming a Jiao Dragon pattern spell formation, which was exactly the Blackwater Dragon spell. With the formation of the Blackwater Dragon spell, Lu Changxing immediately used his mana to continuously forge it, turning it into a small talisman seed. The Blackwater Dragon spell is complete. 2 more days passed and Lu Changxing opened his eyes, his face revealing joy as he exhaled a long breath. He swallowed an elixir medicine and began to sit cross-legged to recover his mana. After his internal mana was restored, Lu Changxing stood up and walked out of his seclusion cave. He planned to catch a green blood carp and a red blood carp to try to convert them into a flood dragon Tao soldier. However, the moment he stepped out of the cave, Lu Changxing thought about his flawless heavenly fragrance body, which emitted a faint natural fragrance from his body. Speaking of which, can this fragrance be concealed? Otherwise, it's odd for a man like me to always have such a scent on my body. Lu Changxing tried to contain the fragrance emanating from his physique. The fragrance was not intense and was very pleasant to smell. Through Xiao Xia's previous remarks, he vaguely felt that this fragrance might also have some enticing effects. So he thought it best to conceal it if possible. There was no need to emit charm all the time. By running his cultivation technique, Lu Changxing could feel that the fragrance of his body had faded significantly. If there wasn't close contact, it was almost impossible to smell it. He nodded slightly, feeling much more at ease. He stepped out of Changxing Hall and came to his family's fish pond. Mountain Lord. Greetings, Mountain Lord. Husband. Daddy. Around the fish pond, numerous water pavilions had been built. The cultivators who worked at the fish farm lived in these pavilions, keeping an eye on the situation of the fish farm. Seeing Lu Changxing arrive, the cultivators in the water pavilions immediately saluted him with cupped fists. Zhongyu, fetch me 1 green blood carp and 1 red blood carp. Lu Changxing said to Zhongyu, the manager of the fish farm. Then he smiled and nodded to his concubine Yun Chanqian and his daughter Lu Xiaoru as he approached them with a smile, asking how they felt about the fish farming. The concubine and daughter took some interest in fish cultivation, so Lu Miaoyun arranged for them to learn here. Mountain Lord, before long, Steward Zhongyu came with a red blood carp and a green blood carp. These two carps were clearly selected carefully, weighing about 20 to 30 jin. Lu Changxing took the carps, said a few words, and then turned into a streak of light, returning to Changxing Hall. Blackwater Dragon Spell. Once inside his hall, Lu Changxing held the red blood carp, circulated the Blackwater Dragon spell in his dantian, and let the talisman seed enter the red blood carp's body. The talisman seed was extraordinarily mysterious, and in an instant, it entered the red blood carp's body without any obstruction, burrowing into its heart. Thump thump thump. Upon contact with the Blackwater Dragon spell, the red blood carp's heart seemed to beat violently. Its mouth opened and closed as if roaring, and it began to struggle fiercely. After a while, the red blood carp no longer struggled. It lay motionless, its flesh shrunken as if it had been dead for some time. Is the dragon blood too diluted, lacking potential? Lu Changxing eyed the red blood carp in front of him, eyebrows lifting. According to the Black Dragon Codex, to cultivate a Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon, one must first have an aquatic demon beast with dragon blood in its body. Then, by casting the Blackwater Dragon spell, one could temper the demon beast's dragon blood, enhancing its potential. This step is also called leaping through the dragon gate. Only by integrating the talisman seed and leaping over the dragon gate could one hope to advance to a Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon. This red blood carp had failed to survive this test, thus meeting a dead end with its vitality exhausted. It seems that this red blood carp is too inferior to be used to cultivate a Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon. Lu Changxing looked at the shriveled red blood carp and shook his head. He wasn't too concerned. After all, a red blood carp was worth just about a dozen spirit stones. Indeed, it was somewhat wishful thinking to use it to cultivate a spirit weapon. He turned his gaze to the other carp in his hand, the green blood carp. Compared to the red blood carp, the green blood carp was much more precious, valued at about 20 to 30 spirit stones. With a try-it-and-see attitude, Lu Changxing cast the Blackwater Dragon spell into the green blood carp. However, just like the red blood carp, this green blood carp also withered and died. This is dragon blood essence? At that moment, Lu Changxing noticed a strand of golden, crystalline substance inside the dead green blood carp. Through the Black Dragon Codex, he clearly recognized it as a strand of dragon blood essence. The Blackwater Dragon spell tempered the demon beast's dragon blood and stimulated its potential. But since the beast hadn't survived the ordeal, all its vitality coalesced into this strand of dragon blood essence. This strand of dragon blood essence could be used to concoct the ascending dragon elixir. Chapter 662. Refining the Tao Soldier, transmitting the method to Bai Ling. The ascending dragon elixir was also part of the process to cultivate the Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon. After all, how could cultivating a third-rank Tao Soldier be simple? The first step was to select the Tao Soldier seeds through the Blackwater Dragon spell. Afterwards, the seeds had to be constantly nurtured with various elixirs and techniques such as Spirit Nurturing Elixir, Wisdom Opening Elixir, Ascending Dragon Elixir, Spiritual Light Method, Blackwater Method, and 9 Transformations Method. A total of 9 pills and 12 methods were used, before one could finally be promoted to a Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon. This process was somewhat similar to cultivating spiritual beasts. But compared to beast taming, this cultivation of Tao soldiers was obviously more profound. This was also why small family forces had no Tao soldiers. Not to mention whether they had the methods to cultivate Tao soldiers, just the various expenses involved in the process were more than ordinary forces could afford. Although this red blood carp cannot be used to cultivate a Tao soldier, refining a strand of dragon blood essence from it is still quite good. In the future, if dragon blood essence is needed to refine the ascending dragon elixir, one could extract it by refining red blood carp. Lu Changxing took a porcelain bottle out of his storage bag and stored away the strand of dragon blood essence. Though this strand of dragon blood essence was minuscule and trivial, even a mosquito's worth of meat was still meat. However, if the red blood carp can refine dragon blood essence, then perhaps the red blood fish king might be able to endure the Blackwater Dragon spell. Lu Changxing's eyes narrowed slightly as he muttered to himself. This red blood carp was just an ordinary first-grade spirit fish. Whereas as a second-rank spirit fish, there was a not-so-small chance that the Fish King could integrate with the Blackwater Dragon spell. No sooner said than done, Lu Changxing went to the fish cultivation area and inquired with Zhong Yu whether there was a Fish King in the fishery. Mountain Lord, there are currently one red blood Fish King and one Baishui Fish King in the entire fishery, Zhong Yu voiced aloud. She naturally wouldn't keep a detailed count of ordinary carp. But Fish Kings were not only highly valuable, they also aided in the ecological growth of other carps. Therefore, after being appointed as the fishery manager, she had cultivated 2 Fish Kings at the first opportunity. Will using one have any impact? Lu Changxing asked. Not really, but it will take some time to cultivate a new king, and the cultivation costs will be relatively higher, Zhong Yu hesitated for a moment before saying. Alright, fish up the Baishui Fish King for me, Lu Changxing said, nodding at the response. He knew that there would indeed be some impact, but he couldn't resist the urge to experiment right now. Yes, Mountain Lord. Upon hearing this, Zhong Yu didn't say much more and went to look for the Baishui Fish King in the fishery. As the bait was scattered, the surface of the lake rippled and shimmered, and countless carps converged. But soon the water churned and the other fish dispersed, and a gigantic Baishui Fish King over a meter long emerged to eat the bait. Take action! Zhong Yu shouted to the other fishermen. Immediately, several fishermen threw out their large nets, attempting to catch the red blood Fish King. But the red blood Fish King, already possessing a certain level of intelligence, saw the fishing net and immediately flicked its tail, diving into the lake in an attempt to escape. Seeing this, the other fishermen hurriedly cast their techniques to try to stop the spiritual fish. Interesting. Lu Changxing watched this scene, chuckled lightly, and mana surged from his hand with a wave. A man-filled hand reached down and directly captured the red blood Fish King in the lake. Not bad, there might really be a chance to refine it into a Dao soldier. Lu Changxing looked at the red blood Fish King before him, chuckled lightly and flew towards Changxing Hall. All the cultivators and fishermen in the fish farm watched this scene with eyes full of reverence and respect. Upon reaching Changxing Hall, the red blood Fish King still struggled continuously, its eyes filled with fear towards Lu Changxing. Lu Changxing did not pay much attention, placed his hand on the Fish King, and cast the Blackwater Dragon spell into its body. Hiss hiss hiss. At that moment the red blood Fish King emitted a painful hiss, struggle surged, its heart thumped loudly and a faint black luster flickered on its scales. It seems there's quite a bit of hope. Lu Changxing, seeing this, revealed a slight smile on his face. Observing the red blood Fish King with the Blackwater Dragon spell surging through it, becoming increasingly emaciated and the black chi flowing, Lu Changxing thought for a moment and flicked a strand of dragon blood essence he had just harvested towards the red blood Fish King. He then took out a spirit-nurturing elixir, crushed it into powder, and mixed it with spiritual liquid to pour into the mouth of the red blood Fish King. Since there was hope of success, he was naturally willing to lend a hand. As time passed, the body of this red blood carp became more emaciated, its form much longer, resembling more the body type of a catfish or an eel. Boom! After a long time, the red blood Fish King suddenly let out a high-pitched hiss. Its heart merged with the Blackwater Dragon spell. Demonic energy surged around its body, pulling at the spiritual energy. At this moment, its scales had almost completely turned from azure to a dark black color, growing 2 long catfish whiskers, with the teeth in its jaws becoming significantly sharper. It's done. Lu Changxing, seeing this, revealed joy in his eyes. The red blood Fish King before him had been tempered by the Blackwater Dragon spell, and transformed into a Blackwater Dragon fish spirit weapon. Its strength was still quite weak, roughly equivalent to a first-grade middle-stage demon beast. But to transform from a spiritual fish into a first-grade middle-stage demon beast was a significant upgrade. It seems that this red blood Fish King did have some difficulty in fusing with the Blackwater Dragon spell. If I want to cultivate it, I should try to use a better breed of dragon-kind aquatic creatures. I wonder what the effect would be of the dragon carps in Baishui Lake that appear once every 10 years. Lu Changxing checked the condition of the Blackwater Dragon fish. It was evident that although it had merged with the Blackwater Dragon spell, it was still somewhat forced. Chapter 663. Refining the Dao Soldier, transmitting the method to Bai Ling. Bloodline refinement, the process of potential awakening, had left him extremely weak, with only half a life remaining. But at least it's done. Next, as long as I cultivate it slowly and awaken its spiritual intelligence, This blackwater dragonfish will cultivate the blackwater flood dragon spell on its own, constantly evolving into a blackwater flood dragon. Lu Changxing, with the blackwater dragonfish in tow, contemplated quietly. After a brief moment of thought, he went to Baishui Lake and released the blackwater dragonfish directly into its waters. With the blackwater flood dragon spell, he could roughly sense the whereabouts of the fish and issue commands to it. Observing for a while, he noticed that as soon as the blackwater dragonfish entered Baishui Lake, it immediately started hunting for the fish and shrimp in the lake, even attempting to eat the lake's blue blood carps. Releasing such a blackwater dragonfish won't disrupt the ecosystem, will it? Lu Changxing's brow furrowed slightly. Although Baishui Lake was vast, if the blackwater dragonfish continued to feed like this, there might be problems. Forget it, I better keep it in the storage bag for now and wait until I've made the Dao Soldier talisman, then have someone take care of it. Otherwise, with the current strength of this blackwater dragonfish, it might even harm the fishermen. Lu Changxing thought for a moment, then placed the blackwater dragonfish into the storage bag. After all, fishermen came to Baishui Lake every day to fish, and his own children would also come to fish. If they encountered a first-grade middle-stage aquatic demon beast like this blackwater dragonfish, there could be danger. The Dao Soldier talisman was similar to the beast control token. Through the talisman, one could communicate with the Dao soldiers and instruct them in their formations. If one cultivated the Black Dragon Codex, they could even integrate the Dao soldiers' demonic aura with their own mana, significantly increasing their strength. Daddy, brother? As Lu Changxing was about to leave with the blackwater dragonfish, he suddenly heard someone calling him. Turning his head, he saw Lu Wangshu and Bai Ling waving at him from a distance. Wangshu, little linger. Lu Changxing looked towards Lu Wangshu, who was sitting cross-legged on the mysterious turtle wearing a fisherman's hat, looking adorable. Bai Ling was on a small boat beside him, accompanying Lu Wangshu fishing. After all, with Lu Wangshu's small frame, someone always needed to be with him when fishing. Brother. Bai Ling looked at Lu Changxing, her peach blossom eyes immediately filled with joy, misty and sweet, her voice meltingly soft. Chapter 664. Refining the Dao Soldier, transmitting the method to Bai Ling. _4 Late at night. The room was quaint and ancient in style. On the bed, Bai Ling's slender and exquisite ketone body was covered with crystal-clear slippery white scales, making her appear as if she were wrapped in a layer of soft scale armor. The enticing, graceful figure was fully displayed, while her entire being exuded a bewitching and wild beauty. As her delicate body undulated, the glistening white scales flowed like the Milky Way, radiating specks of crystal pink light, resembling adorned gems, looking exceptionally dazzling. At this moment, Bai Ling was the epitome of temptation from head to toe. Her peach blossom eyes were especially alluring, misty as if drunk yet not drunk, dreamy and entrancing, stirring the most primal desires within others, making their hearts flutter. This often made Lu Changxing wonder if Bai Ling were to cultivate the bewitching technique, she might not be inferior to Nangong Meili. Afterward, brother, Bai Ling snuggled into Lu Changxing's embrace, like a well-behaved kitten. Her pure and alluring face blushed like the rosy clouds, her peach blossom eyes squinting into curved crescents, looking up at Lu Changxing with a coy and satisfied expression, tugging at his heartstrings. Little linger. Lu Changxing held Bai Ling's soft and silky enticing jade body. The scales on her skin to the touch were extremely comfortable, making Lu Changxing unable to let go. The two continued to cuddle affectionately, savoring the afterglow, before Lu Changxing began to ask about Bai Ling's cultivation progress. Bai Ling indicated that she was currently at the peak of the 7th level of energy refinement and would soon make a breakthrough to the 8th level energy refinement. Hearing this, Lu Changxing felt a wave of emotion. He had brought Bai Ling home less than a decade ago. And Bai Ling had only truly begun cultivating about 9 years ago. In 9 years' time she was almost ready to break through to the 8th level of energy refinement, which was incredibly astonishing. He had seen Bai Ling's status through the family system interface. Under the talent column, there was only a 5th grade spiritual root. But Bai Ling's speed of cultivation could not be explained by a mere 5th grade spiritual root. Therefore, Lu Changxing knew that Bai Ling's bloodline was even more extraordinary than he had imagined. He told Bai Ling about the Black Dragon Codex cultivation technique, mentioning that since she was in the late stage of qi refinement, she should also consider the matter of foundation establishment. It will affect having babies. After learning about the cultivation technique, Bai Ling's first concern was its side effects. She had always grown up on Qingzhou Mountain and had seen Lu Miaoyun and others give birth to children for Lu Changxing. So she had always hoped to bear children for Lu Changxing. Her initial inability to conceive had left her deeply sad and distressed. It was Lu Changxing who had comforted her for a long time. The matter of having children, let this brother figure out how to solve it. Of course, if little Linger doesn't want to cultivate this technique, brother will teach you others, he said immediately. Lu Changxing contemplated teaching Bai Ling the Black Dragon Codex, also because of their bloodline situation, making it difficult for them to conceive children. In such a case, one more such cultivation technique would not make a difference. Perhaps cultivating the Black Dragon Codex might just reverse the situation with a poison against poison approach. If that failed, he could only look for a solution later, checking whether the system could draw elixir medicines or heavenly treasures that included pregnancy. "You'll listen to brother," Bai Ling said softly, her voice tender and soft. "Good, tomorrow brother will teach you to cultivate this technique," Lu Changxing said, holding Bai Ling in his arms with a warm voice. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed. Under Lu Changxing's guidance and clarification of doubts, Bai Ling had already begun to switch her cultivation to the Black Dragon Codex. With her excellent talent and Lu Changxing's teachings, she picked it up very quickly. This made Lu Changxing look forward to whether Bai Ling's cultivation of this technique would reveal any aspects of her bloodline. During this time, through Lu Miaoyun's acquisitions, Lu Changxing bred a Blackwater Dragon Fish Dao Soldier and a Blackwater Dragon Serpent Dao Soldier from aquatic demon beasts imbued with dragon blood. After much deliberation, he designated an area in the fish farm for these 2 dragon fish and 1 dragon serpent to dwell. Otherwise, putting them in by Shui Lake was somewhat hazardous and could affect the ecosystem. As for the matter of oversight, he temporarily entrusted it to his daughter Lu Xiaoru. He asked her to take care of feeding them while looking after the fish farm, and to notify him if any issues arose. Not long ago, through his concubine Zheng Yongwan, Lu Changxing learned that the Zheng family had negotiated with the Su family and was about to become a vassal to the Su family. When the time came, the Zheng family would marry off a legitimate daughter to the 3rd son of the Yushui Su family, while the Yushui Su family would in turn marry a side branch female to the young master of the Zheng family. Hearing this news, Lu Changxing didn't say much. When Zheng Yongwan first told him about it, he had guessed that there was a good chance it would happen between the 2 families. But he hadn't expected the Su family to marry a side branch female to the Zheng family. After 6 days, on that day the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family was officially established for 1 year. Lu Changxing also initiated the first family conference to summarize the year's developments. Chapter 665, Year-End Statistics, Family Atmosphere. _1 Lu Family Mansion, Council Hall. Lu Changxing sat in the main seat, with Lu Miaoge and Ling Zixiao sitting on either side. Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, Chu Jinjin and other wives and children, including Lu Pingan, Lu Xianji and Lu Rui were seated on both sides. The entire council hall was nearly full. Husband, the family has a total of 1,430 acres of ordinary spiritual fields, where spiritual mulberry trees, red flower grass, green seed fruit, azure moonflowers, and white jade corn are planted. These spiritually imbued crops are harvested once a year, and we currently have 9,200 caddies of spirit mulberry leaves, 12,200 caddies of red flower grass, 20,050 caddies of green seed fruit, 11,300 caddies of azure moonflowers, and 23,600 caddies of white jade corn. 1,000 acres of first-grade spiritual fields are planted with the premium jade marrow rice, which is harvested once every 1.5 years, and all of it has recently been reaped and threshed, yielding 24,630 caddies of jade marrow rice and 1,150 caddies of rice bran. The remaining 150 acres of second-rank spiritual fields are planted with Bai Shui paddy, which matures once every 2.5 years, and are not yet ripe. As these crops were originally planted by the Yu family, our yields have decreased by 30 to 40% due to labor shortages and lack of familiarity since taking over. However, with additional labor, quantities are projected to gradually increase next year. Lu Miaoyun held an account book and reported on the matters concerning the family's spiritual field crops in a clear voice. Will the shortfall in production of spirit mulberry leaves, red flower grass, green seed fruit and azure moonflowers affect the fishery? Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing inquired. These crops were all used as feed for raising spiritual fish. If there was a shortfall, it could impact the conditions of Baishui Lake and the fish farms. I have confirmed this with Zhongyu and others. Currently, it won't be too big of an impact. There are prepared fish feeds stored in our warehouses. But if it continues like this next year, it will cause some impact, Lu Miaoyun said. All right, Lu Changxing nodded and motioned to continue. Regarding the spiritual fish, this year's yield is 11,300 caddies, including 219 red blood carps totaling 2,890 caddies, and 86 green blood carps weighing 1,210 caddies. As for spiritual medicines, none have matured yet. Lu Miaoyun continued, the expected income from the spiritual fields is 19,000 spirit stones, and the fishery income is projected at 6,700 spirit stones. Why is the fishery income so low? Shouldn't the revenues from fishery be higher than that of the spiritual fields? Lu Changxing raised his eyebrows in surprise upon hearing this. He knew that the fishing produced from Bai Lake Mountain was the main source of income. Husband, the income from the spiritual fields is only projected to be that high. Spirit mulberry leaves, red flower grass, green seed fruit, and azure moonflowers are primarily produced for in-house use as feed for raising spiritual fish, so they aren't actually profit-making. Besides, the Yu family had just sold a batch of spiritual fish, and the lack of carp kings in the fish farms affected the ecological balance and disrupted sales channels. All these factors led to a significant decrease in fishery income. Otherwise, under normal circumstances, the income from the fish farms should be around 20,000 spirit stones, Lu Miaoyun explained. I see, Lu Changxing said, understanding that the income from the Lingtian district seemed high, but after deducting the costs of labor, seeds, and the 4 kinds of spiritually imbued crops, it was actually average. Furthermore, due to various factors, the fishery income had drastically decreased. In the future, we will just calculate the total income, expenses, and net profit. Then compare yearly growth or decline with the previous year and identify the causes for these changes, Lu Changxing instructed. Feeling that there was no need to complicate these matters. Understood, husband, Lu Miaoyun nodded in agreement. She then looked towards Lu Miaohuan, signaling for her to report. Lu Miaohuan was in charge of managing the family's spiritual fields, spiritual medicines, and fisheries. Meanwhile, the income from external shops and business partnerships was controlled by Lu Miaohuan. The remaining puppet workshop, talisman workshop, and wine brewery were each supervised by Lu Xianji, Lu Rui, and Lu Chuanjin respectively. Currently, the family owns 11 shops, including 3 talisman shops, 2 rice shops, 2 fish shops, 1 spiritual medicine shop, 1 elixir shop, 1 magic artifact shop, and 1 tavern. The main profits come from the talisman shops and fish shops. The other shops are operated externally under a partnership model, bringing in a total income of 30,593 spirit stones. Additionally, we have 3 mining veins, currently being exploited in partnership with the 100 Birds Lake Bai family, the Ji family from Shaojing Mountain, and the Zhao family from White Tiger Mountain, with an expected income of 1,100 spirit stones. The share from the Red Leaf Valley Marketplace is 5,961 spirit stones, Lu Miaohuan reported, holding the account book and jade scroll. What is the percentage of the talisman shop's income, and what is the net profit? Lu Changxing asked, looking towards Lu Miaohuan. Talismans account for over 40% of the income, at 13,566 spirit stones. With your second-rank spirit talismans, husband, the profit margin is high at 40%. Amounting to 5,400 spirit stones, Lu Miaohuan replied. Huan, in the future, also calculate the expenses and profit directly in this area, Lu Changxing said softly. After finishing, he turned to his children and said, continue please. Father, currently the puppet workshop has 13 apprentice students and 61 workers. They have crafted 13 beast type number 1, 11 flying eagle type number 1, and 2 humanoid puppets. The total cost of materials amounted to 2,832 spirit stones. Lu Xinji stood up and reported. Let me know when you can proficiently make humanoid puppets, Lu Changxing said. Also, when it comes to training personnel, don't worry about the extra expense as long as they have potential in this area, he added. Chapter 666. Year-end Statistics, Family Atmosphere. Lu Changxing nodded and then said. Beast number 1, bird number 1, humanoid number 1, were the 3 blueprints he provided to Lu Xianji, instructing him to bring people up to speed on them. The follow-up plan was to continuously upgrade these puppets and create advanced models. Yes, father. Lu Xinji bowed respectfully and then sat down. Standing to the side, his daughter Lu Rui got up and said crisply, Daddy, the main business of the talisman-making factory currently revolves around subcontracting work to produce ordinary talisman paper and spirit ink for Qingzhou Mountain. This year, we produced a total of 962 sheets of ordinary talisman paper and 115 boxes of spirit ink, earning a total of 63 spirit stones. Haha, not bad to have made money in the first year. Lu Changxing couldn't help but laugh cheerfully when he heard this. However, if labor and production costs were deducted, there was actually no profit and in fact it was operating at a loss. Father, the winemaking workshop produced 950 caddies of white jade wine and 460 caddies of spirit mulberry wine this year. These drinks used up 4,920 caddies of white jade rice and 2,100 caddies of spirit mulberry leaves, with the remaining ingredients costing a total of 863 spirit stones. If all the alcohol was sold, the expected revenue would be 1,400 spirit stones. At that moment, Lu Chuanjin reported. Not bad, next year we should be able to break even and start making a profit. Lu Changxing nodded in approval upon hearing Lu Quanzhen's words. Husband, the family currently has 241 members, including 3 foundation establishment cultivators, 3 at the late stage of qi refinement, 20 at the middle stage of qi refinement, and 12 at the early stage of qi refinement. According to family rules for the birth of newborns, the family provides encouragement. This year, 31 newborns have been born in the family. Xiao Yueru said aloud. The duties she was responsible for were relatively simple, involving the management of family juniors' conditions, providing rewards for family concubines and children. Her main focus currently was distributing rewards for newborns. Not bad. Lu Changxing nodded slightly. Out of the 33 newborns, besides the 8 that were his own, the remaining 25 were all from the 3rd generation of the Lu family. Through the system, he knew that none of these 25 individuals possessed a spiritual root. He wasn't too concerned about this. After all, aside from Lu Xinji, none of his children had a spiritual root. Lu Changxing chuckled lightly upon seeing this. His approach to spending money was always extravagant and carefree, without a notion of frugality and never bothered with meticulous calculations or awareness of the amount spent. Additionally, during this period he had privately commissioned the Ji family and Xiao Xie to purchase spiritual materials for his personal use. Many such transactions did not go through the family's ledger. Otherwise, the expenditure would have been even more exaggerated. Of course, this year I made quite a sum selling second-rank talismans, but that income also went into my private coffers. You all should strive harder too. The wealth I have accumulated over the years is almost depleted. If we keep incurring losses, the family will struggle to function with such a deficit. Lu Changxing turned to his children Lu Pinggan, Lu Xinji, Lu Rui, and others as he continued. Father, the family is currently in the initial stages of development, and there are many areas where money is needed. We siblings are not yet able to create a stable income. You may consider adjusting and reducing the family's expenses until the family stabilizes and gradually becomes profitable, after which we can readjust. As Ling Zixiao said, now the family could afford it, having enough margin for trial and error. This would also make it easier for him to arrange things based on the children's abilities, customizing his teachings to each child's capacity. Otherwise, like now, after making a simple arrangement, he hadn't paid much attention to follow-ups, which not only affected Mayan's planning but also failed to fully tap into the children's talents. Moreover, he had also come to realize an issue. Many of the tasks carried out by his children were determined by him and Lu Miaoyun. Over time, some concubines and children might harbor some dissenting thoughts. According to Ling Zixiao's proposal, all tasks could be subdivided and assigned according to ability. With so many brothers in the family, it was difficult to say they were close and friendly. Sigh. Hearing this, Lu Changxing let out a light sigh. He was more than aware of the issue. Not to mention being close and friendly and harmony among brothers, he reckoned that some of his children might harbor resentment due to his partiality, selfishness and unfairness, but they wouldn't show it in the face of the family's core interests. After chatting with Lu Pinggan for a while, he then conversed with his son Lu Xianji and daughter Lu Rui. Lu Xianzi's views were somewhat similar to Lu Pinggan's. He felt a sense of responsibility as the eldest in the family, expressing guilt that, despite his average talent and capability, he was so favored by Lu Changxing. His daughter Lu Rui, on the other hand, didn't feel much and thought the current situation wasn't bad. She was quite happy. When he found Lu Chuanjin, the latter was with Lu Caijin in Hushan town, taking 2 other younger siblings out to play. "Father, your son greets you." Daddy, why are you here?" Seeing Lu Changxing, the 4 immediately greeted him. Lu Chuanjin and his son Lu Huaijin were relatively mature and greeted him respectfully. Lu Caijin and Lu Yuzhin, the 2 daughters, were much more affectionate and approached with laughing faces. There was a big family meeting today and I thought the family indeed neglected many aspects, so I came over to have a talk with you and hear your thoughts, and I noticed that Chuanjin seemed to have something to say at the meeting today. Lu Changxing looked at his children, smiling as he spoke. Turning to Lu Chuanjin in a gentle voice he said, "Chuanjin, you can talk to me privately or use a voice transmission if you have such concerns in the future. There's no need to speak of such things in public as it impacts the harmony between you and your brothers." Daddy, brother had good intentions, there were no other meanings. Lu Caijin thought that his father came to lecture him and, while holding Lu Changxing's arm coquettishly, said, "Father, I believe that it is only effective to bring up such matters on occasions like this." Lu Chuanjin, upon hearing this, showed a serious expression and said in a deep voice, "Are you not worried that your words might provoke the displeasure of others?" Lu Changxing smiled and said, he knew that his son was mature for his age and had a mind of his own. In the preceding years he had sent Lu Chuanjin to work under Hong Yi in Rui Prefecture, and Hong Yi had nothing but praise for him. He said that Lu Chuanjin was steady in his work and decisive in killing. But in fact, as his son grew older, he realized that he didn't really understand him as much as he thought. "I'm not worried. If they feel displeasure or resentment because I brought up this matter, it shows that these people do not share the same heart as the family and do not consider me a brother, so why should I care about their opinions?" Lu Chuanjin, with deep eyes and a composed expression, said. Lu Changxing, hearing his son's words, raised his eyebrows, roughly understanding his son's ideas and thoughts. He continued to ask, "Then what other thoughts do you have about this?" "Father, in my view," Lu Chuanjin slightly raised his eyebrows and slowly articulated his thoughts. Lu Changxing listened quietly. His son, Lu Quanzhen's ideas about the family were different from his own. Essentially, it was about valuing rules over familial affection. As Lu Chuanjin said, as a member of the family, one should share in its hardships and contribute to the family. If one lacks this mindset, it indicates a lack of belonging to the family and not considering oneself a part of the family. In such cases, strict punishment should be administered to improve the moral climate. This rationale even formed a loop: you contribute to the family, you are part of the family. If you don't contribute to the family, you are not considered one of us, and there is no need to be polite to such people. Brother, we're all one family, you don't have to be so strict. Besides, everyone has different ambitions and Daddy has always said that being happy is what matters. Lu Yuzhin stuck out her tongue and said so. No demands, being happy is what matters. Lu Changxing, hearing these words, thoughtfully looked at his daughter. Upon reflection, he realized that he had never had any particular demands on his children. As long as they were happy, that was good enough. Even though he could see his children's abilities through the system, he still tended to follow their own desires in many things. He thought back to when his son Lu Wuyu spoke to him about the matters of the Lu family in Rui Prefecture. His son had stated that the Lu family disciples were bound to produce arrogant individuals who needed to be strictly controlled. Actually, the current situation in his own Blue Lake Mountain Lu family also had tendencies in this respect. As their father, I indeed have been too permissive in this regard. If we were just a large ordinary family it wouldn't matter, but now that we've established a cultivation family, we should still resemble a family to some extent. After all, my original intention to establish the family was to provide a better environment for my children to grow up in and allow them to continue growing through the family. It's not about leaning on me alone to sustain the family and everyone in it. Lu Changxing pondered in his heart. He turned to Lu Chuanjin and said, Your thoughts, your father has roughly understood, but such things can't be accomplished all at once. Your father has also discussed these matters with your mother and several of your aunts today. Lu Changxing slowly conveyed his thoughts to Lu Chuanjun. Since his son had ideas, he was willing to share more with him. However, his own thoughts were still, as Ling Zixiao had said, aiming for change through guidance. After all, the family's current situation hadn't reached the point where it needed to rely wholly on clan rules as Lu Chuanjun had suggested. After chatting with his son Lu Chuanjun as the evening grew dark, Lu Changxing took his children to the Lu family mansion for a meal. As a cultivator, he naturally didn't need to eat or drink, but occasionally he still indulged in satisfying his palate. Moreover, cultivators eating spirit rice and spiritual meals also helped with their cultivation. In the following days, Lu Changxing had conversations with his children, showing concern for their situations and also preparing for the upcoming changes in the family's system. Half a month later, Lu Changxing issued new family rules. All family disciples who reached the age of 14 could apply to take part in family affairs. If they hadn't achieved the 4th level energy refinement by the age of 16, they would be assigned by the family. The family would calculate the next year's salary and benefits annually based on cultivation progress, family contributions, and moral conduct. Chapter 670, Family Great Formation completed, planting trees. One time flew and 2 months had passed. With the new rules of the family, all Lu family members aged 14 had the option to actively apply for family affairs. Although not everyone could be like Lu Xianji, Lu Rui, and Lu Chuanjun directly in charge of a workshop. Each person was assigned spirit fields, fishing zones, shops, and other business matters. They could also choose to enter one of the 3 major workshops to manage certain projects or select a skill from the family to improve upon. If the family school didn't offer the skill and you had ideas and the courage to go for it, the family would provide the relevant inheritance and some funds for you to learn through trial and error. In such circumstances, these children were filled with enthusiasm. After all, they themselves understood that at the current stage of the family, if they worked hard, they could still compete for a place. If they waited until the family continued to grow in size with more people and talents like Lu Qingxian and Lu Wangshu coming of age, without a special skill of their own, they would truly only be able to serve as drones at home. Moreover, even if the children were still young and ignorant, their mothers were aware that the family was in its early stages of establishment, which was precisely the opportunity for their own children. If their children demonstrated exceptional talents and abilities, they might get Lu Changxing's attention and cultivation. Even if their own children lacked talents, as long as they were diligent and practical, they could still gain control over part of the family's industries, which would significantly benefit their future cultivation and family establishment. Seeing the bustling activity among the family's children, Lu Changxing did not continue to monitor it closely. He had delegated these affairs to Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, Chu Jinjin, Bai Feifei, and Jing Yonghuan. After all, besides the day-to-day cultivation, talisman making, refining the 9 treasured jade Rui, and healing Ling Zixiao's injuries, he really did not have much spare time to worry about so much. One day, Ling Zixiao informed Lu Changxing that the great formation of the Bai Lake Mountain family had finally been completed after a year and 2.5 months. Has it finally been completed? Upon hearing this news, a faint smile emerged on Lu Changxing's face. Since he occasionally chatted with Ling Zixiao, he was well aware of the reasons why the family's great formation had taken so much time and consumed so many spirit stones to repair. Now that he had heard the great formation was completely refurbished, he was somewhat expectant of this new formation. Both of them left Changxing Hall and headed to the mountain gate. Chapter 671, Family Great Formation completed, planting trees. Master Mo spoke these words, allowing the effects of part of the heavy water suppressing technique to fall upon Lu Changxing, letting him experience it firsthand. Lu Changxing immediately felt his body sink, and when he attempted to rise into the air, it was as though he was lifting a tremendous weight, obliging him to expend far more mana to take flight. This effect is quite good. Lu Changxing nodded in satisfaction. He knew that major marketplaces like Nine Dragons Market and Qingyun Market all had flight restrictions in place. But he had never attempted to fly in these marketplaces before. Now, the effect of his family's heavy water suppressing technique seemed to share a similar remarkable principle. To know that foundation establishment cultivators, under the effect of the Great Formation, would need to spend 20 to 30% more mana to fly, making it much harder for them to escape once they entered the formation. Moreover, just a single oceanic bead could produce such an effect. If Ling Zixio's health were to recover and all 36 oceanic beads of his family were deployed, the effect of the heavy water suppressing technique could likely directly suppress those at Foundation establishment. Even nascent soul immortals would be somewhat affected. It was akin to leveraging the spirit vein to activate the oceanic bead as a magical treasure. Lu Daoist, this is the current state and triple change of the Great Formation. Master Mo handed the array plate and flags to Lu Changxing, continuing, if Lu Daoist has no issues, I will return to report. As for the specific details and aspects of the Great Formation with Ling Daoist here, there should be no need for excessive explanation on my part. In his speech, he looked towards Ling Zixiao with a hint of regret. Through regular interaction, he knew Ling Zixio's proficiency in formation was not much less than his own. However, due to health issues, Ling Zixio's cultivation had declined greatly, scarcely able to maintain or fully operate the Great Formation, which was truly regrettable. Of course, there's no problem, Master Mo. You have worked hard these days on arranging and repairing the Great Formation for Mai by Lake Mountain. It is truly laborious. Lu Changxing spoke as he immediately produced a prepared gift. Although Master Mo had been invited to arrange the formation through the Qingyun token, and all the materials were provided by his own family, it was nonetheless a task that took over a year, during which he not only repaired the formation but also arranged for an earth-fire formation to be set up in the alchemy chamber, artifact refinement room and puppet workshop, nurturing the fire vein. In such a case, it was only proper to show appreciation. The whole tree looked somewhat unattractive, making it difficult for one to associate it with a third-rank spirit plant. In fact, it appeared more like a long, massive rock. However, the roots of the tree shone with blue-gold light, brimming with a rich vitality, revealing the tree's extraordinary nature. This is my third-rank spirit plant, the luminous treasure tree, which has been well preserved within a treasure of cave heaven, explained Lu Changxing. Although he knew the general appearance of the luminous treasure tree through the system space, seeing the actual tree in front of him, he still felt it was somewhat ugly. He thought to himself, wondering if Lu Miaoyun and the others who would cultivate the heavenly longevity technique might find it unappealing. The luminous treasure tree? A treasure of cave heaven? Ling Zixiao turned to glance at Lu Changxing, feeling an even deeper veil of mystery enveloping him. Not only did he possess such a precious and rare third-rank spirit plant, but he also had a legendary treasure of cave heaven that could directly store such spirit plants. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.